All right, we are live. What is going on, YouTube world? Right? It's been a little minute, right? It's like, where has this guy been? uh, as we all say, out there surfing life, surfing life. All right. So, just want to come on today to somewhat um, kind of give a little midday afternoon session briefing on the markets. I know, again, there's a lot of things have happened since the last time I've been on. You guys probably been already out there, tackling this stuff and wrestling with it and trying to make sense of it all. But again, what do you expect, when you have a situation where people feel like their pennies are being stolen or whatever the case. So again, markets are just doing what they do best. Try to be a discounting mechanism to try to price in all the potential, I should say potential, supposedly bad news. Now, within doing that, you also have a very complicit system where the so-called checks and balances are not necessarily in play right now. They're out to lunch. And somewhat the kids are pretty much running the asylum at this point. When I say the kids, meaning the Federal Reserve has full range in terms of our monetary system, and they're just trying to plug in and playing wherever they see fit. All right. Again, but outside of that, again, I'm sure you guys have been very fortunate, been very solid in being able to make some good decisions in essence to in listen to the market. Well, obviously that would be my hope and intentions. And so again, we're just trying to make the best of every day, and being able to kind of find these outliers, these type of plays that are ubiquitous to gains and profit that doesn't come with a whole lot of worry behind them. And so that's pretty much what we've been witnessing over the past 5 days, 5 training session days, I should say. A lot of just again the same old, just up today, down the next, sideways a little bit, then up in a matter of seconds, and it's just all over the place, right? So again, we're prepared for it nonetheless. I say we are prepared, meaning it's not like we haven't seen this before. So we're just trying again to again make sure that we're positioning ourselves to again make better decisions and trying to front run the market or front load the market or backstop the market. Either way, whatever you're doing, if you're hedging or you're just pretty much aggressive to one direction, make sure you're doing it very cautiously, right? That's what we're here for. All right. So again, we got a little family that came in the house already. I know I kind of jump right on. I just get to talking right away before anybody else kind of come on. I guess it's just within me just to kind of get to work, right? I'm one of those kind of people that once the clock is ticked or clicked or whatever, it's time to go live. It's time to go live. It's time to talk. All right. So what's going on, family? Raul, peace, power, and profit to you. What's going on, family? GPJ in the house. What's going on, family? Peace, power, and profit to you as well. Right. We got Oba Marquise in the building today. What's going on, Oba? Peace, power, and profit to you. And anybody opposite that may be listening or watching in the back chat. Again, I know you guys are busy. I didn't kind of or pre-warn anybody, beyond coming on and going live. I just kind of jumped on and jumped right into it, right? All right. Again, so much going on for me. Definitely, I should say a lot of things going on in and around my little area. So again, in doing that also, I was able to get some things taken care of. But again, I missed you guys. So what can I say, right? Ain't nothing better than being around your peers, right? Your intellectual peers, and so I decided to definitely come on today, kind of update, where I'm at in terms of just figure out, what's going on with you guys, what you're doing, as far as the markets, what are you looking at, how you guys are feeling about, the country opening back up, where you are potentially, as far as state-wise, how are you, dealing and coping with this ideal of going back to work if you're actually having to be called back to work. I mean, just a gauntlet, right? So y'all know how it goes, right? What's going on, Ilva? Right, Camille in the house, Sister Camille in the house. Peace, power, and profit to you, Camille. Right, as always, happy to see you in the building. Right, our resident forex trader. All right, be killing it, crushing it. Right, taking taking off heads and taking names and cashing checks. All right, what's going on, family? Big Boom. What's going on, family? Peace, power, and profit to you as well. Right, happy to have you in the house as always. Right, anybody else again that maybe kind of watching, listening to the back chat again, you are welcome here. As I always say, salute to you all. on this hump day, right? This Wednesday, it's way back day, right? And typically, if you ain't working, you ain't doing a lot of humping anyway, right? That you chasing this market, because that's the only thing that's humping right now, this market. All right, up one day, down the next side, the next AB, press start, go. Cheat codes, all that, right? All right, so get excited. Nonetheless, right, we're gonna make the best of it. All right, so kind of just jumping right into it. Again, as I always try to do, I try to provide some level of descriptive information down in my description box to let you know exactly what I'm looking at or what I'm thinking about. Not necessarily stocks individually. I need to get back to doing that, because I used to do that. I used to post like stocks I'm trading, or where I'm in at, especially if I swung trade and all that. But I mean, I feel like I can talk about that once I get on. But nonetheless, there's some good economic data in the description box surrounding today's so-called global events, turn of events, current events, whatever, surrounding markets. So what I'll do, I'll try to play news reporter a little bit here and go through some of these things, and we'll jump right into looking at a couple stocks. Go over some things that you guys may be looking at. Oh, before I do that, let me also get this link here for you guys if you want to come on the back, the panel. Y'all know I love company, right? I love when people show up too and get excited about understand that this is a village, right, and not a dictatorship. We're here to workshop and build. We want to hear your views, your opinions, your technical analysis, your fundamental analysis. I mean, I love that stuff, right? Again, when one teaches, two learn. Right. So when you're building, I'm listening, I'm learning. Right. That's why I love it. So there's the link, guys. If you do want to come on the back panel and discuss your day. So again, I hope it's sunny wherever you are in the world. It's sunny here in the suburbia DC region. Luckily, because yesterday it was ugly gray. Not even just gray, but ugly gray yesterday. Right. Sunshine was nowhere to be found, but we got some sunshine today. We got some wind, got some pollen blowing. Pretty sure you got some pollen blowing wherever you are, right? Coating your car with a nice, pearl yellow, right? Your house and everything else. Open your windows, right? You got, pollen all on your little, window seal and all that. Like, man, it's that time of year. It's that time of year. On top of dealing with this coronavirus, right? So I guess the best time to wear a mask is fighting this pollen. Keeping it out your nose and your mouth, and if you wear glasses or whatever, keeping it out your eyes as much as possible. But hey, the planet is just doing what it does, right? The planet has to pollinate itself too, right, and produce more life. Right? I just leave it at that. All right, again. So yeah, so real quick, just kind of jump down in my description box, just kind of go over some daily news, and we'll jump right into looking at some stocks. Again, if you haven't subscribed to this new channel here, this is my backup channel. Right, this is the plug channel, as they say, right? You got to have a plug, right? Backup to the backup. So just in case, YouTube still be on that crazy and they still fight me a little bit on the other channel, as far as the content scenario from the last issue we had, but we'll see how that turns out. Again, still haven't really heard nothing from them. That's how it goes. Y'all know how this stuff goes. Right? They're playing very, very, big cop, big brother in the sky, whatever they're playing right now. I don't know what YouTube doing, but I mean, not on the YouTube, but Facebook and all the other platforms like Google. They're very, very over policing, I think, in just my opinion, a lot of the stuff that's happening in and around the internet. And I'm not saying that necessarily for my case, but just in general, from a lot of the stuff I've been seeing that they've been taken down on YouTube and just, questioning people. All kind of crazy. Again, this whole COVID-19 thing has people on edge, especially when it comes to disseminating good information that's on the medical side of the house, right? And I say medical, meaning necessarily don't have to be coming strictly from a synthesized medicine or hospital, but just people trying to provide people other, remedies, if you want to say that, to trying to help fight this coronavirus. Again, no one has a patent on health, right? I like to always make sure I premise that in a way where, no matter how much censoring they do to try to keep people from saying, hey, try this, right? Or try this herb or try this. So, again, with some cautious, we ain't saying go out there and, do nothing crazy, do your own research behind it. Right. But I tell you what, me saying, hey, try a little bit of sea moss and some vitamin D, right? Or some vitamin C or something like that, or some selenium or something like that is a heck of a lot better than saying, hey, listen to President Trump, right? Go drink some bleach, right? Go get you a fifth of alcohol in terms of that rubbing alcohol, drink that, right? Not some of that Hennessy, but that rubbing alcohol, right? Get you a bottle of Lysol, take that to the head, right? It beats you doing that. I guarantee you that, right? And it also beats you going shooting up yourself or taking some pills or this hydroxychloroquine if you don't necessarily know if it can, will meld with your body. Again, it's a chemical. I mean, call it what it is. It could be helpful. Who knows? But I think I'll stick with the more subtle things in life, meaning nature, right? I drink a little dandelion root tea, some sarsaparilla or something like that, maybe, right? A little mugwort, something like that, maybe, and chill out, right? Eat some fruit and drink a lot of water, right? Again, food is medicine. I go on record as saying that. So if y'all want to fight me later, that's fine. But I'm gonna go on record and say food is medicine. Simple as that. And if you don't believe me, don't eat for about 3 hours. Or not 20, excuse me, 3 hours, about 30 hours, somewhere around there, 30, 48 hours, and let me know how you feel afterwards. Now, that might be good for some of y'all. Some of y'all might need to do like a little fasting right now. Who knows? But anyway, again, when the body gets weak, you don't have the proper nutrients in it. It doesn't, it doesn't perform naturally like it should. So I just wanted to kind of put that into context. Again, I'm not sitting there harping on whether or not, whatever you eat may not be good for you, but we understand good food is really good for the body, right? And hey, that's it. GPJ said he already getting after it, right? Got him a sea moss smoothie going. I love it. Hey, what's going on, family divine? Full in the house. Peace, power, and profit to you over, right? Always happy to have you in the building, right? Now, y'all know I just get, making all y'all moderators because, again, we family over here, right? We're a team, and we all here for the same reason, right? Financial literacy, right? Knowledge and information, right? So with that being said, I don't do, I don't have no specifics or, no kind of respective person aspect. I feel like if anybody have an interest in want to learn this information that we're disseminating, by proxy of that, you should already be considered just that. And especially again, I got I know you. I already know who you are. Being I seen you in other circles. Again, we ain't just giving everybody a wrench, but for the most part, we are a family over here. So family needs to feel welcome and know that they're important here, right? Because we all have something to offer, and that's what's most important about this craft and learning how the market works. You need all eyes and ears on deck, much as possible. So again, without you guys, there's no no place for us to come hang out at. There's other channels, but at least we can come together. Jump down into the news again, like I said, and then we'll go through some tickers and go through a little bit of information for the markets. And again, then I'm end up closing out a little early today. Not going to be on extensively long. Still got a couple things going on and trying to take care here and there. So again, just want to make sure I put that in the energy, that energy out there. So again, I'm always happy to have y'all in the building. All right. So first up the bat, I'm pretty sure some of you guys been getting some of the news. And again, if you got any questions too, make sure you drop them down in the description. Give me the chat, I should say, and we'll get to them as well. And then I think brother Ru already got a question. He's saying, can you go over how the Fed affects liquidity in the market? Oh no, most definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that. Hence, if y'all saw my thumbnail is a classic example of just that, right? Of just that, where the Feds pretty much have found a way. All right, there was Sister Camille coming in the building. Sister, if y'all saw my thumbnail, all right, Sister Camille, peace, bond, profit to you, Ilba.
Peace. Let me turn down the mic. Okay, and on the YouTube.
No worries. Happy to have you in the building. It's been a little minute since we all hung out online, but you know how it go. We still, getting it in our little our own little portals and avenues and places we hang out at. So
exactly.
Yeah. So definitely want to come on today and add a little flavor to it, to the markets a little bit, see what everybody out there doing since the last time we spoke, virtually online. It's been a crazy market as always, right? That's not a conversation piece every day, right? It's cut on your TV. There's something happening, in or around the market that will affect it, adversely or, whatever. But so, hearing all this kind of Fed, news or jargon that's been coming out of the White House, and I say White House because again, I'm pretty sure he's getting vetted pretty decently now these days and can't just come out there and say anything like he was doing before because Trump got him on a short leash. Hey, what's going on over, Chris? Peace, power, profit to you. Right, Chris Logic in the house. As we say, Wall Street Logic. Call him by his real handle. Right.
Hey, peace, Oba. Peace,
What's
Eoba, Camille.
Peace
Prophet.
over logic.
What's
Love it, man.
going
Get
on?
happy to have you out in the building today, right? We finna get at it a little bit, right? While we got this little time.
So
I hope y'all day is going great. How's Texas right now?
it's hot, man.
Yeah, man. It's that time of year. Yeah,
Yes.
I can imagine.
Feel like
See,
the Sahara here right now.
yeah, to my this. It's weird too because I was reading something maybe last week or two. The idea that everybody was kind of off the roads, out of the airplanes, out of the sky. It actually kind of helped the Earth to a degree, right? Clean up a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if that was a good or a bad thing for some of these cities because they've been probably been so used to being blanketed by smog and all kind of other pollutants. Like finally the
Yeah.
sun get to come through a little bit, right? They say, sun, come through, sun.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's beaming down right now. Ain't showing no mercy. You know, if you ain't got if you ain't got that much melanin, I feel bad for you.
It's tough. Again, that
Burn up
whole
out there.
the whole reality in terms of dealing with again, just planet, pollution. Again, I don't want to kind of sidebar get too off in it, but again, I'm into the nature, obviously, right? But I was again reading some of the data points, and they're saying, as far as how the Earth has had a chance to kind of slightly replenish itself, due to the global shutdown that had happened, and in essence, that you seeing, certain areas where they were just blanketed again with pollution, this, that, and the third, it went away, right? To a degree, it had time to kind of actually blow through, right, and clean out. And it goes to show you that again, again, it's the human species. Again, I'm a human like anybody else, but man, we could be some destructive animals, right? Because we are animals in some kind of form or fashion, all right? But we
Facts.
destructive, and
Absolutely.
they were showing like the Great Barrier, Great Coral Barrier Reef, whatever it is, Great Barrier Reef down in Australia, and all that. It's crazy, but anyway. That's part of our life. Again, we got to be able to share this planet with everybody else too, in terms of everybody. Meaning, all the other animals and this, that, and the other. Being we the only sentient beings that I know of. All right, I'm gonna go on record and say that I know of. There might be something else out there we ain't seen yet.
I know.
Right, I know. If I say that over there on the Real Black Atheist channel, like, hold up, bro, you getting a little pseudo. You getting pseudo, bro. You can't. We ain't seen it yet, so you can't be saying that. Like I just said, if it is, I just said if was a fifth.
Yay, definitely so.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, what you talking about, man? Ain't nothing that's out there except for us. I'm like, okay, all right, yes, sir. All right. So yeah. So again, like I was saying, just kind of hit some of the information down in the description box. So today's so-called current events. Again, we know markets again still fluctuating off the top. Uh, Off that 295, 295, which it broke today, broke that 295 and hit that 296, and went up as high as near that 298. Now, 298 was very significant for one reason only. 298.30 ish, I should say, is a major resistance points on the S&P 500. Now, given the turn of events that happened yesterday until the close, excuse me, where we saw the broader markets pull back, and I'm pretty sure everybody was watching that like, man, what's this all about? Right, here we go again. Right. So again, chain of events happen. We kind of got an idea, by the time all the news started circulating, we kind of had an idea of what was happening. What's going on, Oba Brandon? Peace, power, and profit to you, Oba. All right, good to have you in the house as always. Our brother Brandon Jemison in the house, our resident, medical worker too, along with the brother Raul, both of those guys in the medical industry, right? So yeah, we saw again news coming out of pretty much Moderna, right? For some of you guys may be familiar with the ticker symbol mRNA, company who's obviously in the race to kind of formulate a vaccine to help fight this coronavirus or come up, some kind of value or backstop to it. Again, I'm always first to say again, coming from a place where I used to trade a ton of biotech type stocks when I first started out, day trading, I should say, and they're very tricky. Again, one day you can have good news, the next day could be something crazy. I mean, it's a very, very fine line that you have to walk in relation to that in these biotech stocks, only because, again, they are, under a lot of scrutiny, right? As they should be, right? Because that's a big major, uh, you know, I would say weight of information, or I'm trying to find the right word, but information that you have to be able to provide, and that's to let people know that you have a safe and effective, therapeutic drug, vaccine, or whatever you're doing, right? It has to go through a level of scrutiny, right? It has to go through a level of being tested and all that. And so basically what happened, Moderna dropped some news literally Monday. I mean, well, it was already leaking out like Sunday in the future market. That's how come I know these people are very slick. And I'm saying that because it seemed like it was a very orchestrated move. It was very orchestrated, right? First thing you get, you got the Jerome Powell speech that he did over the weekend. So that was already kind of odd. Like seeing him on a weekend, going live outside of the 60-minute scenario, but again, kind of front running the market, so to speak, to kind of let everybody know, hey, we're good to go, right? We're good to go. And I'm saying that because if you think about how we closed last week in terms of the S&P 500, right? It seemed to be kind of, kind of wavering, right? We were wavering a little bit, right? In terms of, we had some weakness. We had some massive weakness that we were dealing with, coming into this week, right? Coming into this week. Again, just, understanding that the market was still just kind of up on a lot of fluff, from terms of just seeing, us kind of trend back around in the 280 point where people are thinking at this point, we're going to have to start having to deal with, the real economic headwinds, the headwinds of us having to deal with this coronavirus in terms of companies not being able to, produce any kind of income. Again, people themselves not spending, money because they don't have it. Number one, to spend like that on luxury goods that also help build up your economy, right? All those things were obviously, kind of, off the table. So you say to yourself, okay, well, we have all this, unemployment, over 33 million now at this point. Again, we had GDP at negative 4.8%. The next one probably going to be around about another 3, somewhere around there. Just kind of forward looking the data, front running the data. And again, retail sales just dismal retail sales that we had last Friday. Again, who's spending money like that? And so you say to yourself, now you got all these retail stores coming out giving earnings, especially starting this week a little bit too. Again, you have the likes of Walmart, them, again, Target, Kohl's, Urban Outfitters, some of these even specialty retail stores. Boot actually has earnings tonight. We're going to talk about that, them as well real quick at some point. And then a few others, right? Ross, BJ's. I mean, all these stores got earnings coming up. And you say to yourself, like we always been discussing, which of these particular businesses are essential, right? Do they carry essential-based items or these so-called, consumer discretionaries or, consumer staples, I should say, type of items, that are ubiquitous to everyday use, right? And if you don't have that kind of, market share, so to speak, if you just selling, boots and belts and all that, then hey, I mean, ain't anybody really going out buying a whole lot out of that. Again, that's just my opinion, obviously, but I'm following the data, right, to a degree. So it's not so much just opinion, it's just based on the data. But Wall Street is very funny and finicky, right? You just never know, right? You just never know what these companies will do. That's why you never put that much trust in any of them to that level if you can't really verify it by the data, right? And I'm saying that because, again, if you think about where we fell last week in terms of the S&P 500, right, especially going into, this week, I mean, you had a massive pullback, off this 292 point region, right? Came down and flushed down to 276, right? All this so-called bad news was coming out. Finally, the market was able to kind of process it. And you had the feds that were kind of lessening up their liquidity injection to the repo operations. And so because of that, the bulls had to kind of backpedal a little bit. This kind of is actually producing a lot of, complacency in terms of a lot of the bullish traders out there. And, and so, the consensus conversation piece will be like, well, why would you want to bet against America? Don't you want stocks to return or rebound? Okay, everything has to come with a price, right? So if you're telling me nothing in life is free, yet all of a sudden, markets are acting as if you know, we have no macro data out there that's surrounding it, in essence, to make sure that we have stocks trading or at a point where they're trading at a fair value, at least until we get more clarity on what this thing, you know, the total damage is going to be. And you talking about we only been in about a month, literally a month and a half, 2 months at top of some of this data, and you already trying to tell me that the markets are, you know, needed to be rebounding here. Well, I find that to be very problematic, right? With the idea that they're going to backstop them no matter what. Forget the fact that stocks are still having high PEs that should not necessarily be at that point in terms of a price of earnings on a forward-looking aspect, which is ludicrous in itself. Again, and you got companies coming out dropping earnings like last night. Urban Outfitters, you know, they missed their earnings per share by what, $1.20-something. They missed by missed over by 500%. And 500%. You know, so I'm saying to myself, okay, if you got that kind of optimism behind people missing at that level, you can't even price something like that in. A 500% miss, right? And again, the stock pulled back, but it didn't pull back like it's supposed to, because even for that particular one going into earnings, it had a barrage of downgrades from people like, again, I think it was was it Wells Fargo? I want to say Deutsche Bank and a few others maybe. They were very critical. Barclays, they were very critical on that company because, again, you think about it, especially the retail store, who's going in there shopping, even if they do have an online presence. And so, in saying all that, in relation to the S&P 500, the only thing that's been keeping it propped up, beyond the fact that, you know, the repo operation injects that are going into the banks, like a JP Morgan, a BlackRock, and all of them, and they're buying bonds, you know, treasury backed collaterals, all the things like that, and they also buying certain ETFs, which they are doing, right? But they're dumping a lot of majority of that money, obviously, back into that, the SPY or some of the spider, peripheries that have been carrying the market, right? And the main one is what? Right? What's the one sector that's been carrying the entire market right now? Right? Anybody know what's the one sector that's been carrying the market right now? Right? If you've been kind of following, you know, what's been banging to the upside better more than anything, you know, what sector has been banging right now? Is it utilities? Is it the finances? Is it energy? Right? 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 Right?
Tech,
Brothers, go ahead. All right.
tech sector.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, over Chris. Tech sector, right? Technology's been killing it, right? And you say to yourself, okay, so far as technology, now it has some use case value to it because of the fact that you've been sheltered in, you've been having to use these different aspects of some of our brother Mr. Maroon of e-commerce, right? Again, going back to kind of understanding, you know, how to utilize some of the online supply chain, like these stores and your Amazons, your Shopify, your Etsy's, and, you know, all those, right?
Right.
And you say to yourself, okay, now for the broader market, you know, who's really buying? And when we say tech, right? So first of all, when you think about the word technology, right? You can think of a myriad of different things, right? But let's say just from a consumer perspective and consumer perspective only, what kind of technology are people buying specifically right now that will warrant stocks like Apple and Amazon and Facebook and Google and all these other little ones that fall into the tech sector to be running up so high at this point? As if some of them don't have a myriad of different aspects of their business,
Computers.
right? Computer stuff like that. So you ask yourself again. So when people kind of broke right now, how many people are actually going out there buying brand new computers right now?
None, really.
Right. So again, what's another technology apparatus that a lot of people, you know, use in the technology sector?
I mean, you can
Like,
you can go to Netflix.
iPad, things like that.
Okay, yeah. So like as far as hardware, so yeah, so you got
Hardware.
iPads, right? And before we even get to the, you know, the software side of the house, or, you know, again, that will, you know, the Netflix and all that, because obviously, you know, Netflix falls inside the tech sector too, right? But again, yeah, laptops, computer streaming services, Zoom, right? So a lot of these particular different companies, just again, based on the fact that we've been having to deal with this coronavirus the way we're dealing with it. Now, if you think about it, a lot of the stuff we've been using in the technology set ain't really changed so much in the fact that these again, if you got internet, you typically just still paying your internet bill, right?
Right.
It's not like if you was in the woods and you didn't have internet, you say I got to move in town. I got to get some internet to kind of track this coronavirus. If not, again, you got your cell phone. But again, at a point where you're talking about a 30% plus retracement off the March lows, where the market is somewhat trying to discount all the potential bad news of the coronavirus, yet still there's no organic growth. Everybody is coming in either with no guidance, they're pulling their guidance, they're coming in, either in line in their earnings or under, and they're still catching bids. Again, Wall Street can care less. Again, y'all know how the greed machine work. You miss top, bottom, pool guidance, whatever the case. If they still had you at a fair price target value at a certain exponential amount, they're not reluctant to kind of just let it fall if they don't feel like they don't want to, based on the fact that if they heavy in that stock, they'll turn around and use some of the same dry powder or the aspect even that the Fed's dropping money to the market as a shield to come in and keep stocks from falling. Right? Anytime it begins to fall, they just come in, all of a sudden all these magical bids just start to pop up on level 2, and the stock get propped up. Right? And so again, it's like nobody can fail, right? Again, even bad companies with bad books, but the whole nine. Again, we've talked about these talking points before to the degree that we're blue in the face. So it's like, what do you do about it? Well, there's nothing you can really do because again, your money can't compete with Fed money and hedge fund type money, right? Fund manager type money. But in saying that, this is where we have to be very critical in terms of what we look at, far as potential opportunity, right? And some of these stocks, whatever the case. So literally, again, I mean, last week, a major pullback thing. Hold up, I didn't. My bad. Let me. Doggone internet came in and out. And we just talking about internet. Mine just been coming in and out and all that. Man, I'm so sick of it right now. All right, this was coming in and out lately. And I'm like, man, I'm paying for this so-called expensive mess. And this mess been popping and pinging because again, everybody on, so broadband connections are slower to a degree. Right? But yeah, nonetheless, we in there. All right, we in there. All right. So again, going back to what I was saying, so you got a massive pullback again from 292. Right before it was like the 295 resistance. I kept saying, remember y'all, watch the 295 resistance. Right, that 200-day moving average. Right, we got up there. And I don't have it up on this particular one here because this is the trading net one, just for training real quick. And you had a massive pullback again, all the way to 276, right? Where we dropped, roughly about 20 points. We shared about 20 points on the SPY or 200 points, obviously in that aspect, if you want to say that, all right, or to a degree, not 200 points, but excuse me, 20 points, obviously in the SPY, right, all right, but. Right after that, you saw a major push right back up, and then now you're up here making, somewhat, all-time highs inside of the coronavirus. And I'm saying that inside of the coronavirus because this is a new aspect of what they call market discovery or price discovery, because of the fact that we necessarily don't know where this market is going to end up, from quarter to quarter, being that this is a whole new outlook that you got to start pricing into the market. Right, despite the fact that we hit 339, back when the market was just kind of running on autopilot, and Fed's just dumping money, and everybody was just super bullish on what I don't know. But again, y'all know how this stuff go. Markets can be, remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. So you just got to make sure you're trading on the right side of the trend. So, and saying all that, right? It's like get to the point, African point, get to the point. All right. So you have literally a beeline all the way back up to this 296, right? Well, beyond the 295 resistance at that point. Now you up into what they call new price discovery. Above 296, up into a major resistance point around 298.30-ish. All right, and you say, well, what's important about 298.30-ish, right? So let's go to a bigger chart scenario, or a better chart scenario, I should say, or either way, either or. And let's see what the chart says about that, right? In terms of how that is relevant to us watching it. Because, again, what happened today? If y'all was watching the broader market today, What happened to the S&P 500 when it got up near 298? Did it even test 298 at a point where, it seemed like it was, aggressively bullish? And that's based on where the stock came from, last night in future market. After it sold off yesterday after the Moderna news, we're going to get to that too. It ran right back up. It gapped up today. I mean, literally gapped up on what? After we know that we had a false breakout Monday. We literally had a false breakout Monday on that bad data that came out of Moderna stock. That day was kind of, pricing the fact that they had a very plausible use case vaccine. Turned out it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's why I'm always saying, man, watch those efficacy tests, right? What's the efficacy data that's saying about this, being a great use case, right? They didn't give that data. Notice that they just said that it was what? It was promising. Well, nothing in the essence of the medical world can be validated in a peer review, environment with just the word promising. They're like, no, show those data sheets, right? Where them data sheets at, right? And so it was just funny how they just went off the word of this company alone and no one peer reviewed them. And then they backed it up by overly so-called quote unquote bullish Fed off his little, 60-minute news press release saying that what? Don't bet against what? Bet against America, right? And we're going to do everything in our power again, whatever, right? So again, just a whole lot of, dog whistling and pontificating to kind of keep people, sitting in, assets, right? Sitting in stocks, right? And not necessarily hedging their positions naturally like they should. Not necessarily, again, using, good judgment, sound judgment in terms of, allocating their money in a very strategic way. It's just, okay, just keep buying stocks, right? Because we're going to keep dumping money into it one way or the other. All right. So anyway, so going to the chart. So, you was hearing me speak about, rough around the 298 area around that point. Again, just going to the chart here, kind of blowing this up a little bit. A rough around this point around here, right? This 298, right? At the base of this little green bullish candle here, you see a wick right here on this red candle here, right? So obviously it's a massive resistance because if you look at where we came from, and I'm saying this is where this is why I'm also making this call in terms of 298-ish. What do you see right here in terms of these two candles right here? In essence, to what these other candles, sequentially looks like in essence to these, right? These are very meaty candles, right? There's a lot of money pent up in those two candles, right? Keep in mind, this is the daily chart. So this is a lot of money in the S&P 500, off this aspect where, when it kind of, fell from this little, overhanging little aspect of the market when it began to crash, these two candles right here signified still some people that's still trapped up at that point, whether they didn't sell their entire positions, be hedge funds, retail, or whatever, and they're still, kind of holding in some of that position, even though they might have been averaging down, but nonetheless, that's the next major level of resistance that this market has got to contend with. Those two big beefy candles right there, right? And again, that in itself can cause a little pause, right? A little pause in the market, because if there was a day to do it, after we saw this fugazi gap up today when it shouldn't have gapped up today, after the news we got that the Moderna news was false, right? That was pretty much, it's borderline fraudulent. It was borderline fraudulent. Again, if I had to, add my little 2 cents to it, it was a borderline fraudulent press release that they put out concerning their efficacy levels, which they did not necessarily show data. They just kind of said, we look good, and the markets ran with it, right? Especially people like Jim Cramer just pumping it. So you gap the market up again today on what? Right? Like you were selling off into the close demonstratively in a way where you were saying, hey, we've been duped, right? We don't have a good use case vaccine that, they were trying to say that it might come a little earlier than usual. That was all the bullish euphoria. It wasn't necessarily the Fed alone, because that's the excuse now. Well, we did have a overly aggressive Fed, though, that was still saying that, don't bet against America. And he's still going to do unlimited QE and quantitative easing, basically, and increase the liquidity injection, because that's basically what they did this week. Last week, the liquidity injection from the Federal Reserve and the repo operation were very small. Not small, but they were smaller than usual, right? They were taking some of that money off the table, recleaning it, to dump it back into the markets. Come this week, all of a sudden, now, again, he's all over the internet. He's all over the YouTube and everywhere else. Now, all of a sudden, he can making all these kind of round, round the block appearances in terms of Jerome Powell, Senate hearings and all that. And now, all of a sudden, the repo operations are going back up because guess what? He has to talk about real world realities in terms of our economy that doesn't necessarily look and sound rosy. So what's the best way to backstop so-called quote unquote bad information? Well, dump money on it, right? That's the whole theme of this coronavirus, retrace off the lows, right? Well, throw money at it. Let's see if that fixes it. Well, they've been throwing a lot of money at it, and yet and still, supposing this is the best country on the world when it comes to, I guess medical technology, this, that, and the third, and yet and still, I mean, you have no company, one particular company, any closer to a vaccine or therapeutic, which we know this still takes time anyway. Again, not saying it from that perspective, but they're no closer than they was before we even thought about having a coronavirus in terms of curing something to that level. Right? Again, common cold still haven't been cured. Right? Common cold still having issues with the Tamiflu vaccine for flu shots, side effects and all kind of stuff. Still having those kind of problems. And here it is, you got a coronavirus that's actually more viral than the common flu. It's more viral. That's what makes it more deadlier. Regardless of the fact that, people like they was using that talking point that, well, the flu kills more people than coronavirus. Well, guess what? That stat just been blown out the water. Even though we know they're cooking the books a little bit too when it comes to these deaths, right? Because they classifying people with coronavirus deaths that might have just came in with a basic, flu or something else. They just classifying people with coronavirus death because they're getting more money in the hospital than classify a person dead on the net from the grants. So I mean, it's cricket, it's ratchet. I mean, I'd be here for days talking about all that. Let me move on. Let's get to this data though. So again, 298.30. So that's what I'm looking at right here as a major resistance. So again, after what we saw yesterday with the market pulling back here, right? As you see this red candle right here, you initially gap up again today. Not only did you gap up because see what the market's doing. See how it's trending very so carefully and cautiously on this 200-day moving average, which is this little yellow line right here. It's trending. It's barely hovering. It's trying to stick to it close as possible. Remember I said in order for it to be a bullish signal, it has to close above it. Notice it never closed above it on these two big candles right here. Right? Today they gap it up as to say, man, screw this. Go ahead and push it higher regardless. They don't care at this point. We got control of the markets. People are thinking that they going back to work. They're not going to pay attention to this to never realize that who's going to challenge us basically at this point. That's my point. I'm really getting at. Who's going to challenge us? No economic data came out today to prop the markets up after we had that bad news from Moderna. Turned out to be a lie. Yet they gapped it up above the 200-day moving average to obviously that's another dog whistling signal to bring in people who had dry powder on the cash, meaning cash that come into the market. Because now the hopes of going to 300 seems more plausible than its thing, in this so-called channel box. So you see my channel box right here, where the markets are kind of pinging up and down it inside it for quite a while, right? Going back as far as April the 14th, it was stuck in this little penalty box. I'm called the penalty box, right? Like on hockey or something, right? You hit a joker in the mouth with a little stick, and then high stick the joker, right? Go to the penalty box. So the market was in the penalty box, and rightfully so, because again, think about where it came from off the March lows. Again, on a whole lot of what I don't know, but again, I'm not saying markets just kept crashing, but fair value of a market at this point in terms of knowing what we're dealing with in this coronavirus and all the economic data that's starting to come out, that we are in a major trouble. Because again, people ain't making the money. That means you got no economy. So fair value for this market at best, again, my opinion, no more than 250. No more than 250. And I'm saying that because again, going back to a place where give or take, and I'll go as much as say 260ish, 260ish, right? But going back to this area right here, right? Going back to this area right here, right? When the market crashed off the so-called, the tax, issues in terms of the trade war issues that we were having with China and all that kind of stuff like that. Coming off the idea that we had a very bullish and aggressive 2017, and then we started to hit some real reality, called hiccup or pivot points in the market based on this, this new war that was embarking on with China with the tariffs. And you saw a lot of issues happen with a lot of companies because guess what? They was affected. They was affected by them having businesses or supply chains or whatever manufacturers in China, which caused a lot of problem for them to be able to give forward earnings estimates that would be relevant to them having sustainable organic growth. So there was a pulling back of guidances. They were pulling back of organic growth aspect of R&D type of spending, meaning CapEx, capital expenditure spending, and stocks at that point were already kind of sitting at pretty high PEs. What happened was, I think, in my opinion, again, there was a major takeover. Right, there was that massive takeover where the Feds came in literally after they began to cut rates. Because at this point, they was already in about two good rate cuts around that near the end of middle end of 2018, somewhere around there. But when they started their reverse repo operation, I don't know, project, that's when the markets really got out of control. And I'm saying that because now you're throwing good money into a market that necessarily didn't need it, because looking at where we were still on a good incline coming into 2017. The market was just tearing it to the upside. So naturally, it was doing what it was doing based on a lot of optimism, obviously Trump being president. Again, make America great again, all that kind of whatever, this, that, and the third. Supply chain starting to wrap up their business to kind of reflect this kind of new optimism. And then, again, he threw a monkey wrench in his own plan by starting this kind of trade war with China. Now, whether you say it's good or bad that he did it, that's to be debatable. But I'm just saying from a forward market perspective, right, we know markets are supposed to be what? A discounting mechanism, right? They're supposed to be able to kind of front run any kind of potential bad news or so-called quote-unquote climb the wall of worry to make sure that investors know exactly everything that's out there in front of them, whether or not they want to keep, building on their positions or, this, that, and the third. Well, again, they kind of removed that kind of level of fundamental analysis by coming in now starting to inject the market with all this kind of what? Paper money, right? This monopoly money. And so basically this sell-off that we had going into 2018 was a clear example again of the magnification of the trade war obviously being a massive headwind for companies, right? To really, balance out their company in a way where they don't have to worry about all the kind of, these uncertainties of whether or not they're going to be higher taxation on their product, goods, and services through imports and exports, things of that nature, right? So the market did this. So again, when I'm saying fair value is around about 250ish, and I say 250 to 260, right? I'll be a little bit more liberal. I'm really saying, anything within this range right here, right? This range between right here. I mean, and you say, well, why would you say that and not way up here around 269? Well, if you think about it, right, y'all know I always use a very simple schematic when I kind of do my little so-called analysis. I'm always saying this, let's do a plus minus ratio. Let's split the difference right in the middle, and let's play from the middle as opposed to trying to play from, the actual top and the bottom, right? So that way at least we'll know our ranges. So if we was already at near all-time highs around 297 or 295 before we broke out, I was going up there 339 before all this happened, the coronavirus, and the Feds got extra bullets on the market, just pumped it even higher. At this point, we'll fluctuate between 292, 294, right? Down, obviously, when it kind of pulled back off that, the trade war scenario down to 233 of that massive pullback. Well, you say, well, where's the middle in that? Where's the middle ground in that in terms of where we were in terms of real, at least actual organic growth coming out of 2017 into 2018? Well, it's round and rut, that 250, 260 area. It's round the middle. You split the difference, right? 290 to 230. Where's the middle point in there? Around 250ish, 260ish, right? And I'm saying that was at a point where companies had more valid data of where their companies were from the fundamental perspective. Again, and then the Feds came in and just ruined. I'm not going to say ruined it because again we made money, but they kind of killed that idea of the organic growth. So in all 2019, there was literally no organic growth and no companies, but companies still had 4 PEs around 20-something%, or they was up, 20x. Matter of fact, Netflix was up in the thousands, or somewhere something crazy in them. I think it was them or not them, but Shopify, something like that. That was, way up there in terms of their forward PE value. And they booked the sales were, $20, $30 here, $6 here, $40 here, but the stock price is trading at $700, $800, $400, $600. and some of them were still unprofitable, still had a lot of debt on the books, but yet it's still the bubble of those assets were just, I mean, growing humongous. And people say, I still pay for a stock at this point, at this price point, up here at this high. Convincing yourself that that's a discount buy, right? And that's a discount buy for some of those stocks that were up there at that point. Again, this is just my opinion, right? Again, y'all know we can have different values and views, and that's fine, but this is how I'm trying to rationale the market, right? So number one, you go and break above that point of resistance around 293, right? 294 resistance that was back, before the tariff war really hit a nail, back in the end of 2018, and you went up here and printed new highs, right? Straight line to the upside. Look at this here. Again, that's that straight line. Y'all remember this? I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. Straight line to the upside. B line straight to the upside there, right? And so again, and seeing that, now everybody wants to be bullish to market. I get it. I'm bullish. I got long-term positions like everybody else do too. Let's not get it twisted. I'm not anti making money in that perspective on a long-term growth opportunity. And I'm saying that strictly from growth stocks, a growth stock perspective. But we know exactly what we was dealing with at this point when the Feds really began to be just I mean, they were trying to play Jesus, right? They're playing, Allah, whatever your favorite deity is, Buddha, Krishna, whoever you follow, right? The Feds took over that role in terms of the equity markets and nothing else. And Wall Street got very, very complacent on all this cheap money, literally cheap money. Printers, I mean, they print money like it ain't on tomorrow. And y'all know how this stuff go. Once you get started, it's hard to stop. Now it becomes a bad habit, right? Because now you're in the business of feeling like you don't want your project or your ideal of what you're trying to put forth to kind of, be a little help to the market to fail. So what do? Anytime it starts showing weakness, that is going to unravel because it's not necessarily an organic aspect of growth. It's more of an artificial. You start doing what? Applying more duct tape, apply more flex seal, add a little bit more super glue, right? Stick a little chewing gum on the hole. Well, that's what the Fed's been doing, right? And they're going to continue with it as long as no one challenges them. And typically that's supposed to be the job of who? Congress. Like, hey, what are you really doing with our money? So again, when people making money, they ain't complaining about the crook or the thief. They're not going to complain about that. And any other time, man, these people ratchet, the government, this, that. So again, grain of salt, right? Grain of salt. But just know when we're looking at the overall market, so you think about where we pull back from. So we pull back from 339, 338, and around that point, then 340, all the way down to 217. Now, it'll be easier for me to say, well, let's do the plus minus ratio and split the difference in the middle. Well, guess what? Well, the middle between 340 and what? Let's say 220, right? Is roughly around where the 200-day moving average is at, right? Give or take, right? Give or take, right? But more importantly, it's more inside of the 20-day moving average and the 200-day moving average, right? Right? And so you're talking about roughly around, on the top side, 280-ish, on the bottom side, around 250. So that's why I was saying, for me, it's 250 to 260, just my opinion. But the markets, again, they can care less about all that because they have, again, a unlimited printing press backstop in terms of the Federal Reserve. They're saying we're going to climb the wall of worry and we'll figure all this stuff out after the fact. So in the event we have to crash again, come back down, if this coronavirus is not necessarily taken care of but going into the next quarter, by the end of next quarter, well, guess what? We have a very good ledge or a cushion point where if we fall again, at least, it won't be from the actual lows. It'll be more at a more prop perch position. Does that make sense a little bit, guys? So if you're trading the market, so if you're trading the market here and you're asking yourself, man, ain't no coronavirus issue right now, man. The Fed's going to, I don't want people to become complacent. Again, that's just my opinion here. And you can have a different opinion. I'm fine with that. But for my outlook here, I don't want especially anybody that I know to get too complacent. All right. We've seen this before, right? And this was no accident in terms of how far the market fell on the idea that this coronavirus became a major headwind globally. if your economy was strong and solid like they said it was, remember Trump kept touting best economy ever. We strong. Lowest unemployment numbers ever. African American unemployment lowest ever. All this, all that, and then again we were sitting down, we sheltered in for about a good month. First it was 14 days, then it went to like a month. And you mean tell me that kind of level of information drained the swamp this much? If the economy was strong, that means you had what? Savings, you had backstops, you had financial strength, right? Well, markets don't fall like this on that kind of reality if they got that kind of level of strength. Obviously, it was a bubble. Again, I know I'm preaching to the choir with y'all, but a lot of people that's new, that have no clue about this, they're like, well, I mean, come on. I mean, it was a coronavirus, but that's not how markets work because markets are forward-thinking discounting mechanism, right? So the fact that they couldn't price it in the way they wanted to, the black swan aspect of the market took over. And rightfully so, because again, the market was already stretched. It was already overbought. If you don't believe me, look right here. What do you see right here? Going back from November to 2019, up until the point where the market dropped on the coronavirus, reality being a big issue for America, you talk about well over what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 4 months, the market stayed at overbought conditions dang there. Can't make this stuff up. Look at the RSI down here at the bottom. Could not make this stuff up. Let me blow this up. Look at this. Right? Look at this. It couldn't make this stuff up. Overbought. Small dip right back in the overbought territory. Overbought. Entire month dang near of December was in overbought territory, especially January. Just overbought. Like any technical aspect of understanding how markets work, they're supposed to have a point of correction to a degree where it can kind of revamp some of the old buyers and bring in new ones, giving the markets an opportunity to kind of correlate with their moving averages. That's what moving averages are for, right? They're trying to give you an indication where you should be trading at on a natural timeline with natural buyers and sellers at a point where the market is kind of healthy, right? But you had this is like again going outside, putting like $1 worth of gas in your car, put the car in neutral, and then just matching the gas pedal and hold it. Let the RPM just kind of bend over to the right, and then hold it down until you run out of gas, and you went literally nowhere. Right, you went literally nowhere. Right, that's basically what the market did. The market went up, obviously, but what I'm saying in terms of went anywhere in terms of the market, you had no real true organic growth, no real growth in type of company. It was all artificial, right? You just got nitrous oxide thrown in your tank on some 89 petrol or some 83, right? Some corn liquor gas. Somebody put some nitrous oxide in that thing. Now all of a sudden your little Datsun then turned into a race car. Right? But it ain't even, you know what I'm saying? That joker ain't even built for that. It ain't got no roll bars in, the tires ain't built for it, right? The dashboard glass weak, you got cracks all in the windshield. Man, you get out there on the real track, man. Look, bro, call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we're dealing with in terms of the market. Again, I'm not here to talk an anti-market reality. I'm here to say, look at it for what it's worth and analyze it thoroughly, because all the data that y'all seeing, just like I'm seeing, is telling y'all what? That we back? I don't see that's the case. you know what I'm saying? Again, this is my opinion. Again, my opinion. I don't think we're back. Regardless of the fact you got states opening up and all that, I'm still looking at the data, right? And we know that they're trying to price in what? We know that more people gonna get affected because they opening back up. Okay, we know that already, brother African boy. And what's next? Okay, for every time you have a scenario like that, what does that do to a company if they get people back to work and next thing you know, 15, 10%, 20% of the workforce go back down because they got affected? After starting back up your big machine of a business, and what it takes to even restart a business is big in itself, to try to price in your head kind of employees to the level of production that they're going to be able to put out. And if you lose all of a sudden 20% of your workforce again, what does that do for all that product that you were finna have coming in to kind of equal out your production? You're going to have some problems. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying from the forward aspect of what I've been seeing so far, it's already starting to happen to a degree. That's why people still trying to stay on what? Unemployment. And they don't want to go back to work. They rather ride unemployment because you get more money for some people than they was when they was working on their job anyway. True story. And people saying, you know what, y'all been propping up Wall Street for the longest, making them fat and then rich and giving them all kind of money from our money. Then by dog, about time I sit home and get some of my money back, even if it's through unemployment, I'm straight. I'm not ready to come back to work. People ain't stupid, right? They're not stupid. Ain't nobody ready to get back. Like, again, Trump talking points again. They want to come back. They ready to get back. No, people want to get out of the house. That's all that is. People ready to get out of the house, right? And go to parks and stuff like that, right? They necessarily saying I'm ready to run back to work. Man, come on, man, seriously. I don't know nobody like that in my life. I don't know nobody like that. I'm ready to get back to work, right? I'm ready to go. Some people like that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get it. Some people like that. I'm ready to get back to work, bro. Right? I'm ready to kill some time, right? Some people got that old pull yourself up by your bootstrap mentality, right? Old bootstrap Bill, right? They call it,
bootstrap Bill.
Right? Old bootstrap Bill, right? Get in there, get to work. No, not on my side of the house. People that I know, they're like, man, I want to collect me a check and sit home for a change. The government owe me a lot more anyway.
Right. And
I have no shame about that for anybody to take that mentality. And if you let somebody else shame you for having that kind of mentality, then you are part of the problem, right? You are a person who voted against your own interests. Because they just showed you, when I say they just showed you that they're able to produce money out of thin air. Literally out of thin air. When they were telling y'all literally 4 or 5 months ago, we ain't got no money. Man, government can't do nothing. We ain't got no money, man. We can't provide no better road access. We can't provide better school, books and clean water and Flint. We can't provide, stuff like that. I don't know what y'all talking about, man. We ain't got no money.
Right.
And y'all sending these charlatans and hypocrites to Washington, so-called represent you. And are they really representing you? Or are they just kind of keeping you on the hamster wheel, promising it ain't necessarily feeding you?
Hamster wheel.
So that's why, right? You know what I'm saying? That's why, in terms of what we do as investors or traders, makes us unique people. Because guess what? We're never going to be boxed into that lie ever again, where you have to depend on, number one, government, right? But number two, the idea that even the corporate sector as a whole being the only backstop that you got to be able to kind of survive with. And I know some of us still learning. We're still getting to a point where we're trying to be profitable and consistent. It will come. Again, these moments here are just, again, a part of your journey, right? I mean, you have some people that become millionaires till late in life. And before that, someone was already in poverty. Someone was going through all kinds. They hit their millions late in life. Late 50s, mid 50s, 60s, even someone in the 70s. Look at here. If your ultimate understanding is to be able to kind of put money away for what? Your children and your children, your sacrifices, they are not in vain. I'm here the first one to tell you, right? They're not in vain.
Right.
Right? Because we're trying to change generation, aspects of poverty, if that's the case, or just make it better for our future by doing things like this, becoming independent of that, having to depend on the lies of politicians and governance that's telling you one thing and doing the next. Because at the end of the day, all them people care about is this right here on this screen. And before any of y'all knew anything about this here, or had an inkling to want to learn it, you had no clue this how they've been hiding out, or well, a lot of your money from taxes been going into things like this right here. You're like, man, what they taxing me crazy, man? All this money going, man. God dog, bro. And then I go file for unemployment, they're gonna give me a hard time for getting money that's supposed to be owed to me. Couldn't make this stuff up, right? Like, dude, it's my money. I work for it. How you give me a hard time? You know what I'm saying? I'm at the register, at the counter, and they sitting there breaking your kahunas, like, and that kind of mentality.
And then make you search for jobs while you try to get the money too.
Why you waiting to get the money? Ain't that something? Well, look here, we got this unemployment board over here. Go fill this out first here, and just in case any jobs come available, we'll contact you. That's just part of the requirement if you want to get unemployment to a degree. What? No, I'm here for a vacation, a paycation.
Right.
Right. They fired me or let me go or something happened where I had to kind of get, come to get unemployment. I ain't in the rush to run back out there in that foolishness. Again, you know what I'm saying? That's like you left one bad relationship and went and waited on go wait on another one. Right? They ain't taking your time to think it all the way through. Like, no, wait, let me think this thing through. And so the markets are kind of, somewhat kind of, in that same mentality. So you're having all this, again, for what it's worth. Again, I'm not telling you not to be bullish on markets because y'all know the motto is what? The trend is your what? Friend. Right? We ain't trying to, again, your money can't compete with this kind of money. See, you see that counter right there? Your money can't compete with that. Your money can't compete with this one. It can't compete with that one. It can't compete with this one. Right? You may have a little chance in this one and this one. Right? Not even them probably. You may have a little chance in this one right here. Right? This I don't know what this is here. Right? Your money may have a little chance in this one, but anything else that's beefier than that, you might well give it up. Right? Because you can't compete. Right? And so in essence, knowing that we're just here to what? To benefit or ride the wave when moments are presented to us and opportunities, opportunistic moments, and then we strike and we capitalize. Right. And again, in the aspect of our long-term holdings, you say to yourself, okay, well, do I want to be added into my long-term holdings, anywhere up here? Right. Depends on, again, think about where we came from off the March lows and whether or not we're ever going to come back and test the low. Because, that's the biggest question or conundrum everybody kind of, scratching their head with right now. Are we going to go back and test those March lows? Well, again, at this point right here, it'll be hard pressed to kind of see, whether or not if it's plausible or if it's not, because again, they're keeping the market in an ugly channel for a reason. They just trying to buy time. That's all this is. This channel here is just them buying time.
Yep.
Right? It's a hustle. They're trying to figure out what's the overall, all the different parameters surrounding people going back to work. If it really is a true benefit to the economy at the point where companies can come back, what's going overall damage of the companies that are in terms of the employee head count is going to look like when you have people starting to try to come back, who came back, who didn't come back. What can you produce at your level of capacity production, what you can't produce at this point? Are you at third of your capacity, a quarter of your capacity, a half of your, what are you working at? So that way they kind of model out what the GDP and all that kind of stuff, right? They want to be able to kind of, compile the numbers, dress up and give it to Trump so he can talk it up. Right? Again, America is a corporation. Let's not forget, it's a corporation. It's a massive business. That's all it is. And sometimes people kind of lose that, lose focus of that. It's a massive business. And the headquarters is where? Right down the street from where I live at. Washington, D.C. Right? And again, it's crazy, but this is what we do as investors or traders, right? We are macro-minded people. We're micro and we're macro. What we're more so what? Macro-minded, right? We look at every aspect of the picture. Not just the painting on the canvas itself. We look at every aspect of the picture. The frame, the wood, the hinges, the nails, the color of the paint, the maker of that paint, right? You see what I'm saying? That's what a broad-minded person, that's how a person who understands entrepreneurship thinks anyway, right? If it's hardwired in you to think that way, then by far you are a born entrepreneur. Right? Exhaust all aspects of information at your disposal. Why wouldn't you? Right? Never go into a situation, quote unquote, half-cocked, as they say. Right? So in essence, to equity markets, it's the same reality, guys. We're just sitting there trying to understand where we are. Right now, the markets are in purgatory. I made that statement, I think maybe like a week ago. I was kidding with some people, I think, on Stock Twist. I was like, right now, the market's in purgatory. All this right here, this chop zone, from April the 13th to where we are now, this is purgatory, right? Because you don't know if you're going to heaven, right? I'm using my southern twang, I think. Heaven, not even heaven. You don't know if you're going to heaven or you're going to hell, right? They don't even say, they don't use them L's even long. Them L's be real short. Hell, right?
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going. You know what I'm saying? Over Chris. Y'all. Yeah. So you don't know which way you're going because this chop zone here, let me blow it up, excuse me. This chop zone here it's crushing people. But if you don't have your bars up properly on this chart, again, y'all remember I kind of gave y'all the idea why I had it here, not down here, right? But if you don't have your channel, charted properly, you get in trouble. Not just, the broader market SP 100, but any stock you trade right now that's up well over, and I'm saying this, Any stock that's up over 50% off its lows, its March lows, those are the ones you want to start channeling. Some of them going to be exceptional because of who they are, and they benefit in moments like this. Again, remember we talked about Chipotle last week? Y'all remember that last one we did?
Yep. So
And I was telling y'all
$1,000
what levels to look at, and that it's a bullish trade, obviously because of the fact that, for what it is, look where it's at right now.
over 1,000.
Look where it's at right now. And guess what? At the time, even if, again, couldn't make this stuff up.
I'm
Right?
glad I invested.
Right? Now, I messed up my little bar there. I go back and place it where it was before. But anyway, couldn't make this stuff up. Right? Couldn't make this stuff up.
All
Right?
analysis.
And I mean, we were spot on. Right? We were spot on. Right? It was not rocket science. They say, right? It was not rocket science. It was not rocket science. Oh, sorry about that, Camille. Sorry about that. Yeah. Peace, power, profit. Everybody in the bad chat. If you're coming through, I couldn't see it because I'm going in a little bit in a good way. All right, what's going on, Ober Gordon? Peace, power, profit to you, Ober. Good to see you as always. Peace, power, and profit. Right, everybody, Brother Mathis. Right. Again, Mr. Maroon Man. Everybody coming through. Again, anybody that may be listening or watching the back that did not see their name. Peace, power, and profit to you, my family. Sadai. Right. Samuda in the house. Peace, power, and profit to you, family. Right. Again, everybody. Again, we're looking for value, right? We're looking for value in places where at least has a decent use case where we can kind of talk it through, right? It wasn't hard really to kind of explain Chipotle, but you had to be very understanding, a little bit about Chipotle history, right? That's why we went through the history, right? From all the the wackiness that they went through when the stock got cut in half and all that kind of stuff, and but you think about where they are now. Again, it's just a given. Now it's finna bang up against some real resistance here because it's ahead of the game. It's ahead of itself. It's a little too ahead of itself. But that necessarily doesn't mean it can't go higher, right? So there's that trend line. Remember I drew that line, right? Them lines, right? There's some of them go right there, right? So again, as high as 1,700 potentially by 2021, March 21, right? And at a mean point, right? Meaning a medium midline point, right? Around about 928, right? So anything in this side of this so-called channel here is good money, right? Potential good money, right? Basically, if it just stay the course and don't get too ahead of itself. Right now, again, it's extreme. It's extreme because of the fact that, again, it's a use case. People eating out. Again, I know we, especially in my household, right, stay on DoorDash, right? Chipotle, right? Because the vegan options, obviously. But beyond that, it was aggressive bullish investment. One that at least had a variable aspect of being able to own some of its irrational value. Right, because again, they were still doing big numbers based on the coronavirus shutdown through their delivery system, right? Obviously through DoorDash and Uber and all those, whatever the case.
Right.
And it has, again, it's a widely accepted restaurant for what it is, right? It's not like a once a week reality. Some people eating Chipotle 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Again, we broke all that down on the last video. So if you didn't see it, now you got to go back and watch the old video, right? We broke down Chipotle, right? That's why all these lines up here, these squiggly lines, I just haven't took them off yet. But again, it's banging up against resistance here, right at that at this point right here. Literally, just to be, technicality analyst here. So rough around about basically right, I would just say about 130, 135, 130, somewhere around there, 130 to 135. If it break above that, it can get a little ugly. Because you're already at the top of the linear regression band. You already overbought on the RSI on the daily. Now, I imagine, I probably if I put up, and this is on the long-term daily chart, not necessarily just the daily. When I say daily, mean within the 5 minute, 10, 3 minute, 15 minute, all that kind of stuff. But on the extended, history chart, it's highly overbought. Can it go higher from here? Yeah, right. All right. And again, the economy's opening back up to a degree. You know, so if you are working on the job with your little PPE, PPE gown on, you had job in a full suit with a nursing PPE gown on, face shield, some goggles, a mask on, and some rubber gloves at the desk. Hey, bro, I ain't taking no chance. Y'all want to make this money? Y'all got to quit me right, bro. I love you, Mark, Amanda, and Barbara, all y'all, but look here, I ain't taking no chances. I ain't finna deal with it because if I go home, Leroy gonna kill me, right? Leroy gonna kill me if I bring that Rona home, right?
Yeah.
He gonna he gonna he gonna kill me if I bring that Rona home,
That's tough,
right?
there.
Yeah. So again, if y'all going into any of these jobs where you know that the population is kind of dense or more than your liking of comfortability based on the CDC guidelines, then don't hesitate to call these companies out. Like, look, man, I ain't safe. Man, what you got? I'm gonna need more than just some alcohol spray. We're gonna need some gloves, some face shields, and I ain't bringing my own. This a occupational hazard. I'm gonna need y'all to step it up. Right. Where them face shields at? You see what I'm saying?
I need all that. Every
all that. Why wouldn't you? You see what I'm saying, Oba?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just real talk. Again, I know we joking too, but I'm just being honest here. You got to be real understanding exactly just that, right? You have to be understanding that you are going into a what? A war zone. True story. Right? You're going into a war zone and you can't even see your enemy. You cannot see your enemy. That's what makes this thing so pesky, right? And some of the symptoms are kind of cloaked to it, unlike when the person really start getting a sniffles and a cold. You can say, okay, you starting to come up with a cold. I can say, he's sniffing a little more than usual. Next thing you know, they coughing. Like, man, yeah, right. You can try to pull away from it. But this here, again, even the asymptomatic people that necessarily don't even have symptoms, they still could be just as highly, contagious and infected than a person that's showing some real symptoms. So that's what makes it even, again, more pesky. So again, just be careful, guys. If y'all call back to work in those environments, demand more of your employer. Demand more of your employer. If not, he gonna be fired. Right? That's why we training and trading in stocks to learn how to get better, learn how to fire our boss anyway. Because your boss somewhere home inside his fortress or her fortress, and they safe, and they got all the money to buy all the best technology and air filters and sodium bicarbonate sprays and peroxide sprays around the house to keep the virus from. They got all the money they can do that. But again, you're not expendable, right? You're not expendable, right? So don't let people gas you up and say, this is for God and country and all that kind of dumb stuff. Like, man, you don't get out of it with that. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? That dog ain't no hunt. Like, we ain't even gonna buy that. Mm-hmm. So again, Chipotle, all-time highs, sitting up here banging up against this 125. 130 again. 130 gonna be right around the resistance. Give or take. Just for the sake of the conversation, we gonna say around about 135. Split it between 130, 140. Or excuse me, 125, 135, and we'll see what happens from there. Right. But again, RSI, very revealing right here. Very revealing here. Right. Very revealing. I mean, it's well above the 70 RSI at this point. Before, if you go back and look at this history, they kind of always had a chance to kind of get up near it, ping up against it. But this time it actually breached above it, and now it's up here again in no man's land, right? It's by itself up there, right? And that's off the bounce off its lows. Now keep in mind, this thing pulled back all the way to $400, guys, off that coronavirus news where it daggered everybody from 900 all the way down to 400, and now it's up here at 1,000. Man, look at here. How did y'all miss that rebound in Chipotle? Right? How did y'all miss that? Shame on y'all. Because like everybody, we was already kind of focused on what? Our health, our family, our safety. People had a chance to be looking at that. But that's what people who got a lot of money got a lot of time to do. They can sit comfortably, kind of plan their way out or think this thing through and see these value plays, before they actually unfold or before they happen. So somebody making a killing right now at Chipotle. Right? Somebody making a killing right now. And necessarily doesn't mean that it still can't be a worthy investment. But I mean, I'm not buying up here, not right here. Me personally. I need to see this thing come back and backfill, right? You got a gap to fill here, down at least around about 964. All right, that's the minimum, right? Minimum, right? And that's before you can get to this point, this chop zone here, all the consolidation, accumulation, this little, this little channel right here, down around my 863. So we're talking about roughly about, give or take about what, 160 bucks, 180 bucks, somewhere around there of potential backside that at least I would need to see to get excited about Chipotle. Now, real world scenario, definitely 800, right? Fill this gap right here, or at least down around about 825, right? Looking back over here, you see the same space right here. But again, we already know going into the future, especially when we actually do ever get a potential aspect of a virus, backstop for the coronavirus, all that. Again, you still got all this air and opportunity, going into 2021, right? All right, well into to next year and on and on and on. Again, that's just Chipotle, right? So real quick, so let me run over to Moderna and break this down. Then get ready, go over a couple things, some questions if you guys got in. Again, if you want to come on to the panel, here's the link, guys. Y'all know how I like to do this stuff, man. We're a village over here. We're a workshop community. All eyes and ears on deck. You got something to add to the bill? By all means, come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Share your charts, share your ideas. Let's get it. Right. So again, Moderna, right? We know why it's pulling back today, even though it didn't pull back the way that they wanted it to. And I'm saying that because they were thinking this thing gonna really pull back. And it ain't even, matter of fact, it didn't even fill the gap. That's what's sad about it. It didn't even fill the gap. It came close to it, around about this $67 at point after hours, but it didn't even fill the gap all the way. That's how greedy they are. They're so greedy after this company basically pulled a massive coup in the market. They kind of run the S&P 500 up on some fake news by the Fed, in tandem to the Feds, I should say, not necessarily by the Fed, but just also in tandem to the Fed, right? How they bamboozle, the American people that they was pretty much front of line with the vaccine, and everybody got uber bullish, sent the stock base. I mean, I'm benefiting from it. I mean, I got shares of Moderna, down from the 50s area, right? I'm mad I missed it down to 30 because I was looking at this stock back here, and I'm saying long term. Now I day traded it all up in here from the 20s, into the 30s and all that. I've been day trading it, but having long term holding position, I didn't do that, right? I mean, I know I probably should have, but I didn't. But either way, I'm in around the 50s, around this 50s, this area right here, basically. But either way, based on this news here, again, it's in big trouble. Some people, looking at it from different angles, SEC obviously going to get involved, in my opinion, because not only did they produce bad data and they didn't back it up by any kind of real, tangible filing that you're supposed to produce, through SEC to validate your claim. They turned around literally and did an offering of around about 17 million shares. They did it, turned around and did an offering, and they did their offering right before the stock actually started plummeting. Couldn't make this stuff up. I mean, obviously a lot of, obviously fraud, some kind of level of fraud somewhere in there. So SEC probably gonna end up getting involved. We'll see what comes from it. The stock obviously act like it didn't want to pull back a lot like it should have. Again, even though they say, well, it pulled back from 86, okay, well, it was up there anyway, it didn't supposed to be up that high based on what we found out about the news. Again, I'm just being honest, and I'm a long-term hold in the stock, right? Because basically what happens is when you have these kind of runs and it's not substantiated, it just brings more attention to the stock and brings the short sellers. Now you're going to have problems now because short sellers are going to be all over you, right? You brought unnecessary attention to your stock. So people like Andrew Left of Citron Research and Muddy Waters, I mean, these major gym channels, these big major short sellers, man, they finna be all over this. Mike Novogratz, Mark Cuban, shucks, man. Some of these jokers, man, look. You can't compete with their money. When they want to get, crazy on the stock, they can really bring it down if they want to. So we'll see what comes from it. But again, right now, I mean, even though still linear regression band here in a bullish stance, hey, stock should obviously supposed to be down to where it came from off the news. Obviously, it was fake. Let's just keep it 100. But markets are irrational because they're trying to what? It's trying to straight and correlate to the broader market, meaning the SP 500, and they're still propping the stock up, right? They're still propping the stock up. And so again, it's just, I'm sorry, I apologize, but this is what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? I apologize, meaning I hate this because, you know, it was a great investment vehicle value. It still is, obviously, to a degree, unless it really comes out and they get slammed by the SEC and they hit a big fine, then you know the bottom gonna fall out of it. It's gonna come all the way back down probably in the 30s or 40s, right? Easily, right? Easily. So I'm gonna be the first one to tell you that easily. If the SEC come at them in the way that they know they're supposed to, they're supposed to, but if they have a way to kind of backstop a little bit by some kind of level of excuse, it may stop the bleeding a little bit. But as of now, yeah, it's suspect. Suspect. All right. But again, hey, we'll see. Stranger things, right? Market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. Right. Happen for me. I'm in the 50s, right? For now, all right, with a stop loss, very tight. But we'll see. And that's again from a long-term hold, not necessarily day trading, because I'm actually a day trader. I shorted a little bit of it today, and got up out of there, and I left a tad bit in it, at this point. But we'll see. So y'all can go pull up all the news on Moderna. I mean, if I had a lot of time on my hand there, I'd really be kind of pulling up a lot of articles. But it ain't hard to kind of pull up a lot of the sound bites. Matter of fact, we're running to do. Matter of fact, there's one of them I know I want to share. Right. All right. It's one of them I want to share. Let me share at least this one, right? So y'all can kind of get an idea on. And again, these are people who actually work with the SEC. So this ain't necessarily just me talking, right? This is someone that worked, for the SEC, and deals with these kind of things, right? They deal in these kind of issues when they arise, right? So going back to, and again, everything about it so funny because even again, Jim Cramer was just like he always. I mean, he like the worst cheerleader ever. Again, he has more when he speaks some very valuable value and that. Again, man's got a lot of experience. Granted, then a lot of times you just know he's just a TV personality, right? He just a TV personality. He just saying a whole lot of. I mean, he want to be Warren Buffett so bad. I guess I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so he been cheerleading hard for the stock. Basically, my point. He been cheerleading real hard for the stock, right? And he had to eat some crow this morning. Yesterday afternoon, to be exact, when it really popped off, he had to eat a lot of crow, and rightfully so, because again, his words were just into the stock was just a bit too much, right? A bit too much. All right. So real quick, let me see if I can find this little sound bite here. Again, thank you guys for being patient with your brother. Peace, power, and profit. Everybody that may be new. Thank y'all for coming in, hanging out with your brothers today. I'm grateful for it. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't to the new channel while we get the other channel sorted out. All right. And again, I'm humbled that you guys are here, here hanging out with your brother. It means a lot to me. So again, just trying to provide some great different aspects of the way to look at the market, some good content, and that we can all benefit from, at some point, somehow, some way, right? Some point, somehow, some way. Right. So let me find this really, really quick here, guys. I just gotta, yeah, this one here. This is it. This is it. All right, this is it right here. So 1 second, guys. And I'm only saying that because I know some of us are invested in Moderno inside of our little Facebook group, and just people in general that was really following that news, right? That was like, okay, man, this is good, right? Because again, who wouldn't want to be in a position where whether you're gonna be the person to take the vaccine or not, right? Right? At least everybody else can get it, and you be like, okay, right? At least y'all got the vaccine, which makes people feel a little bit more comfortable to be out in public, going back to regular life. All this, yada this, yada that. All right, so this one was like critical, right? So let me make sure I got my yes up. Okay, right, the right one up. And real quick, let me change my microphone to excuse me, to the computer. Awesome. All right.
So, okay, good. All right. So, again, I just want to play this here, all right? So y'all can see exactly what I was talking about for Moderna, because I could have went on and on about it, but I'll just let them say it out of their mouths, right? Because who could better describe it than the people who, obviously within these certain sectors and fields who have a little bit more, color that they can add to it than even I could, right? So let's roll that beautiful beam footage on Moderna.
Frankel, to get his take on whether or not they should draw some. So let's bring in Jacob Frankel to get his take on whether or not they should draw some regulator attention. He's a former senior counsel for the SEC, now with the law firm Dickinson Wright. Jacob, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for the offer. And the answer is, in my mind, no question. This draws SEC scrutiny, and I think almost a great lead-in is not only talking about omission to disclose material facts, but I can easily see SEC enforcement looking at such things as insider trading, manipulation. I mean, these are the exact issues that co-director of enforcement Steve Pekin highlighted in his keynote address just 1 week ago at the Securities Enforcement Forum, which is really the preeminent forum for enforcement lawyers. I go back and I just quickly took a look at what's happened in the Moderna stock. At a Friday close at 66, a pre-open release on test results that are now being questioned by experts. Monday open of 86, a close at 80. Aftermarket press release at 76,000 on the offering, and a Tuesday close at 71. That market reaction defines materiality. I mean, this almost invites SEC consideration of a trading suspension, and we've seen 33 trading suspensions since February 7th. In other words, less than 3.5 months, involving COVID solutions, COVID claims, treatments, vaccines, and the like.
Is there enough for some sort of trading suspension or some sort of investigation based on what we know right now, Jacob? Or what are some of the missing pieces to the puzzle that investigators, that lawyers will need to figure out in order to proceed with the case, if they did proceed with the case?
The devil is always in the details. On the insider trading side, it's going to be who was trading, when were they trading, what was the information. In terms of disclosure of material facts, it's going to be an assessment of the substantive facts. What was known by the company? I think one of the things that this commission, interestingly, in 2019, and one of the reasons actually at the moment I'm really up on trading suspensions, I'm fighting one for a client, is the issue of the integrity of the press releases and whether a company, in fact, does or not disavow information that may be in the marketplace, as a reason not to terminate a trading suspension. But fundamentally, for the SEC to make the trading suspension determination, that is not an enforcement action. That's really considered what is in the public interest and what is really designed to protect investors. But back to your question in terms of what else do we need, it's really the substantive facts, all the issues that your experts really are raising right now that go to the substance of the company's disclosures. What did they know? What were the disclosures? Were they adequate? But you look at the market movement, that defines materiality. And yes, there is enough in the marketplace right now for there to be an investigation. I think one that may very well have a parallel criminal component. And this company is based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The Boston office of the SEC is very thorough and very aggressive, including in the area of trading suspensions. So I think there's no question we will see a regulatory investigation.
Would there be an appetite, Jacob, in your view, for the SEC to launch such an investigation into a company that could be developing the vaccine that could save millions of lives? Right now, isn't that just politically unsavory?
Not at all. In fact, if you go back to not only Steve Pekin's speech on May 12th, again, the co-director, you can go back to March 23rd when Steve Pekin and Stephanie Avakian, they are the co-directors of enforcement, issued a release on market integrity. This is all to the SEC about communications, the quality of the communications, and transparency. An investigation does not prevent the company from advancing its clinical trials. does not prevent bringing to market a vaccine if there is one. This is about information that is in the market and that is fueling this aberrational or volatile trading, and that really is the responsibility of the SEC. So I do think the two really are mutually exclusive. You could still ultimately have a vaccine, whether it comes from Moderna or some other manufacturer, but right now, for purposes of regulatory enforcement inquiry, that's about the integrity of the markets, public interest, protection of investors, and you look at the materiality as reflected in the price swings.
Right.
And I think we do see an investigation.
Jacob, great to get your thoughts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jacob Frankel. We should note that through Meg Terrell, we requested a comment from Moderna, from the CEO, as well as the Public Relations Department. Have not gotten anything yet. If we do, we'll bring that to you. In the meantime, Tim Seymour, is this enough for you to say, you know, I'm going to stay clear of this space of maybe this particular stock?
Well, I think most investors are not actively engaging in biotech, and in fact, this was news not only for the obvious social story around what's going on with the crisis, but this was news because this is market movement. We're analyzing companies who basically have a cash burn story every day. It's sand through the hourglass. So I think investors largely are speculating as to the timeline before the economy is able to go back to work at full scale, and then assess everything from credit through normalized earnings. That's where we are. That's what we're doing here on this show. I'm certainly not going to be the one talking about Moderna's efficacy and the phases of trial. Let's listen to Meg Terrell on that. I think the market right now wants to weigh timeline and look at some of these big industrial companies like airlines and even like some of the automakers or some of the shippers and the folks that are really in the line of fire here. That's the calculus investors should be weighing right now. And I don't think Moderna really in and of itself should be that measuring stick. I don't think it should have been yesterday, and I don't think it will be tomorrow.
Guy Dunn, we've talked about Gilead a number of times, and it was interesting to see the initial reaction of Gilead yesterday to the news that a vaccine may be coming. Theoretically, if a vaccine is out there, there is not as much of a need for a treatment for the disease, for which there is then a vaccine. But Gilead still finished the day lower today and finished on the lows of the session.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I mean, if anything, in terms of answering your question, which Tim did so well, I mean, Gilead is also your cautionary tale that just started this, a month and a half ago. You saw a stock that went basically from 75, I think, up to 84 on hopeful news night. See where I think it closed around 72. By the way, I mean, Gilead, there's going to be an opportunity, forgetting about COVID and vaccines and potential treatments. Gilead on its own, I thought, was doing pretty well, but now it's being taken out to the woodshed, probably a little excessive on the downside. And again, I'm not saying that Moderna did. I have no idea. All I said last time, what I'll emphasize again today, is it just didn't pass the sniff test. It just, the optics were not good, and maybe everything was on the up and up. I have no idea whether or not that's the case, but the optics weren't great, Mel, and I think we're seeing the aftermath now.
I should note that we did get a company response to our question specifically about the secondary share issue, and the company referred us to their prospectus and the use of proceeds, which is the screen that you see there on air, the use of proceeds, and that's the only comment that we have gotten from Moderna.
All right. Sorry, it's pinging and popping. I got all these screens open as always. Running a ton of stuff. Laptops, everything, right? But yeah, so again, that was the let me change my mic back. Sorry about that. That was the sound bite, or pretty much most of the universal talking points that was coming behind.
Coming behind this whole coronavirus situation, right? In essence, to Moderna, right? Let me cut that off over there. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So for whatever it's worth, we'll see what comes from it. But it's a lot that's still that I think is still left to be discovered about whether or not it's going to be a real economic headwind to the stock. Now, more so the broader market at this point, I think the market, used it for what it was worth. It used it, like a streetwalker, to get the market up off the lows. When I'm saying lows, meaning the energy that was coming in to the markets, from the weekend, with all the stuff that was hearing as far as China and the retaliation on trade war, and all the stuff with Trump. It was the perfect orchestrated, whether it was or if it wasn't, the perfect scenario to use that in tandem to the Feds. The idea that you could potentially have a vaccine by the fall and the rest was going to be history. So you can start at that point planning, to potential, get back to some kind of value of normalcy. So that's what markets do. Again, it's a forward-thinking device, right? It's a discounting device. It's trying to price in bad news, and then climb the wall of worry of it, right? To be ahead of it, right? And that's how people make money in the markets, right? That's the overall technical schematics of how it's supposed to work, even though we know it does a lot of other stuff at times, and it's like, man, what's this about, right? But again, that's just part of the game. So hearing them speak about Gilead, hearing them speak about Moderna, again, we looked at Moderna chart. Or again, just on GP, we'll take a quick little look at Gilead, because I was telling I think Ober Garfield, he was thinking about getting excited about wanting to get involved with some of these little vaccine plays. Y'all know you like them vaccine plays, right? So I was telling him, you want to be very cautious here, because at that time, it was trading at, I think, somewhere around here, right? He was around $70, $80, somewhere around there. Sure, I think at that time, I could be wrong, but I think it was somewhere around there, I think. And I was saying, ideally, just kind of looking at it here, because now you can see exactly where it's at, right? Based on definitely what happened from the Moderna news, right? Because a lot of those stocks that's within that space got plummeted too, along with Moderna when it dropped, because who knows if y'all information is correct or not? Who knows? So number one, it fell out of this little box, and it fell out of the linear regression box. And so I was telling him, at this point here, right now ain't the best time potential to buy. If anything, closer back down than this, what the end of the, around this little line right here, the linear regression box line, right? And if anything, maybe nibbling around if you wanted to, around about 75, it's around there, 76, 75. But anything I was telling him around here, so who knew, right? Well, technical analysis knows. And so it broke, 74, and came down, obviously hit us low around 72, and now you back up to around about 73. So, is it probably a good buy around this point here? Okay, well, looking at the chart here, going back to this point of so-called, support, you have a little, little energy here off this little candle here with inside, those two candles here, those big ones here, and a little bit of here, right? And that's off the highs since then, obviously since around 85. So you already been cut down by, well over about $10, a share, since then. So, they're not necessarily the most, I would say, publicized perspective of having problems, I should say, even though the drug remdesivir has been around for a while, and it's still, not necessarily a complete backstop to coronavirus. It's more of a therapeutic. It's a help, right? A help meet in terms of its respiratory qualities. That's what the drug is about. It helps people with breathing issues. Necessarily keeps them from going on a ventilator if necessary, right? To catch them early before that becomes an issue. And so it's just working in tandem to the overall, I would say, orchestra of people trying to come up with something to fight this coronavirus at all facets of it, be it the masks, the gloves, the gowns, the therapeutics, whatever, or the drugs, the vaccines, which obviously the vaccines going to come last, right? There ain't no way around it. So if you trade any company long for the aspect of them coming up with a vaccine for this, Well, again, expect to be in it, you know, for whatever value that you have, you know, in it, think that they're going to be a major force and coming up with something, then, you know, expect to be sitting for a little minute. Now, it could be beneficial on the sit because then these stocks are catching massive bids, right? DVAX, Novavax, right? I mean, INO, right? All those little major players we've been speaking about before on this channel. I mean, some of them are still sitting good. I mean, look at INO, right? You know, INO is a Bill Gates play, right? Bill Gates is a big investor in INO. Go figure, right? But again, look where it came from, off its March lows, right? You know, again, it benefited greatly. So for $3, you know, up to near 15 now, and it's been marching up, right? As you can see here in the linear regression band, it's just trending off that midline, bouncing off of it, ping up, going up above it, coming back, pinging up and going. Now it's back on the top side of it, right? That's why I got up here and got rejected. Not necessarily mean it can't close, and open up green tomorrow and go test it again. But again, y'all know how stocks move. They move in relation to sometimes they're, natural pivot points or resistance points, supply zones, whatever. If they get resistance and they bounce off the demand zone, which is support points. Well, this one here is on the extended side at this point. And again, you know, it's still in the fight, right? It's coming up with a potential idea. So you got them, you got who, what's the other one? Is it Nova? What's Novavax? Invax, I believe. Yep, that's it. Invax. So Novavax, kind of same way. I mean, this stock was trading at like $4 and change. Back in January, February, March, around about $6 and change. And then, man, this one here was the beast, right? This was the beast, right? So basically, it went from there, from $6 a share, gapped up and ran all the way to like 50, well, not $60 a share, about $60 a share, right? Vaccine play all day, even in the name, Novavax, right? Tried and true vaccine play, right? Had earnings back on 11th and really caught a massive bid, massive gap up, gapped up from 24 all the way up to around about 35, $36, right? At the top point, it was around about 45 off that, daily aspect of the gap up. Consolidated, chopped a little bit. You know what this pattern looked like. Anytime you have that right there, like the end pattern, right? Launch it higher. And they did, obviously. So hitting some resistance up here around about $6 a share again, like we're talking about. Some of these vaccine plays today are just being taken to the woodshed because guess who? Blew up their spot. Moderna, right? Moderna blew up their spot. So they're just taking a little bit on the chin today. And that's typical. So it's worth watching. So Novavax, we did look at INO. DVAX is another one, right? That one was was tearing it up a little bit over the last couple of days, right? Look where it came from, right? The March lows around about $1.81, and look where it's at now. At the top, it was up here near about $7.30 somewhere around 7.20 cents, 7.20, whatever, give or take. And it's pulling back a little bit today. Again, all these vaccine stocks are getting beat up today. It's not by coincidence, right? Right? Because again, Moderna was the one kid that got everybody in trouble, right? Moderna blew up everybody's spot. He snitched on everybody, right? Unfortunately for a lot of the companies that were benefiting and riding the wave, now they got to get caught up in this Moderna scandal, so to speak, and they're kind of pulling back again today. All right, but again, this stock was trading at $1.70 a share, and went up and hit as high as like $7 and some change, right? Just a day ago, right? Even today to exact. But again, so it's cheap. It's in the hunt for a vaccine. Who knows? Keep your eye on it, right? And there's others too. I mean, I can go through a few others, but these are some of the ones that's more on the unknown side. People didn't know about, or maybe knew about, but necessarily didn't give it the kind of thought to look at them because everybody looking at Johnson & Johnson and Gilead and Merck and Pfizer, all those types, right? And obviously now people like Moderna established a name for itself. Inovio, obviously INO, right? But everybody else kind of been like, yeah, good luck, find something, let us know, right? So, but that's why you got to look at the overall sector as a whole, plan it all the way out in your head, and go find value, right? Find value, right? Another big runner that's in the space, NNND, right? Y'all saw that one the other day. It went beyond a bunker. What was that? what is it? NN
NNDM.
DM. That's what it is. Take it over. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy runner. Right. I got some of it at 393 in the after hour session yesterday, and man, that was a banger. It went all the way up. I mean, it took off. Right.
Yeah, it ripped.
That joke went all the way to like $6 day in there. You know what I'm saying? And it was like what? Like, it was like no, it was like $5 or $6 after
Yeah,
hour. I mean, I
that's
sold it
it.
early in the morning though. I'm so mad. Oh gosh, and I didn't sell all of it too. That's what I'm sad about it. I sold a chunk of it though early,
Yeah.
but that thing came down. As y'all can see here, y'all see that ugly wick. And I was doing something, you know, kind of going over looking at some other stuff, and you know, getting all my little stuff set up this morning, and came back to my little Webull because I traded in my Webull account. Oh look, that's all that joke around like $2.40 some odd. I said, like, man, whoa. Man, what y'all done, man? What y'all doing with it? Man, look at here, man. What y'all doing, man?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, God, they didn't blew up the trap, right? Everybody came and blew up the trap today.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. I mean, it had good hopeful going into today, but that's why I knew it was gonna be cautious. I told myself I'm gonna get up early, you know, peek at it, you know what I'm saying? And because I don't want no mess, right? Because I know how these type of stocks play when they kind of make that kind of moves, supposedly in the after hour session. The next day you have to be very cautious because we was already thinking that, you know, they may do an offering and this, that, and third, but whatever. All right. So long story short, short story long. It pulled back. I mean, staggering. I mean, it left a lot of people, I mean, stuck up there above $4 a share. Because a lot of people were buying in up there, right? And if they didn't, you know, wake up, you know, early and try to make a move, and they holding the bag right now. You know, so I only had like a small amount left, but it's still enough that was significant, right? You know, in terms of giving back. But I made, you know, more on the top side. I mean, I was still in the positive, not a whole lot than I initially was, but you know, barely still squeaked away with a little bit small little win in it. But yeah, that was just massive. Massive pullback. But again, look where the stock came from. It was trading at my 70 cents a share. It went all the way to like near, you know, 5 and change. I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, it's over 500% runner. It was over 500%.
And
And we live for these kind of moments. You know what I'm saying?
did you see Funware Oba?
Yeah, that was running this morning. And
Yeah, I caught that.
yeah, you know, another little banger on the daily. Getting it in, right? Massive gap up, you know. And I say massive because again, you know, I just started gapping up from the penny zone inside the natural penny zone, getting into the dollar zone. That's hard to do. So it gapped from 67, 66, you know, up into like 90, 90 something plus and cross that dollar. And after that, it was just like lights out. I mean, you can literally look down almost to the T, right at the dollar hash mark is when all the actual collective aspect of the bullish buying came in, and then just ran it high. So it went from there all the way up to as high as like, you know, $3 a share, $3 and change from 67 cents. You know, massive places. You guys may not seen the news on fun. You can go look it up real quick, pull it up. The ticker symbol is PHUN, obviously. But again, some of y'all are probably already saw, y'all, I mean, y'all traders. y'all know how they would be looking for the money moments out there.
Oh yeah,
right?
caught
Who
that.
breaking biscuits? Yeah, who breaking biscuits or baking biscuit today or whatever. But you know, that was another big runner. So again, you had a few this morning that were kind of tearing it up. Again, CCCL was another Chinese place. Chinese ceramics, their earnings, they beat on earnings. It got up, ran up a little bit, and now it's pulling back. Obviously, people still hurt, you know, tearing up these Chinese stocks. They're pretty much not necessarily trusting them. CIDM is the one that's running right now still. It's the major winner of the day in terms of its held its gains. It's up 37% on 81 million shares traded today. Right, so CIDM is that ticker symbol. I'll put that in the back chat. Some of you guys may be interested in watching it, see what it does after hours. If it catches new win, or whatever the case, you can keep your eye on it, right? Because again, some of these plays are actually running into their next consecutive day, which is unusual in some cases for some penny stock because they typically sell off, right? But some of them been trying to hold their gains and giving you a fair play at it the next day. So you can see here this big bullish engulfing candle here. A lot of volume, value and volume coming into it again above this 200-day moving average here, around about 74 cents. And that's where it actually took off even more. You can see at the bottom of that volume there, it just grew legs. So again, went up as high as like near 280, 270-ish. And so massive run in here as well. So keep your eye on this one here going into the rest of the evening. So again, you got some plays out there still printing, And so we have, a couple 100% runners stay, over 100% runners stay, obviously in fun and CIDM. Some of them close in terms of RENN. It's up near 82% on 3 million shares traded. BOXL, 57% over 17 million shares traded. Excuse me, and on and on and on. So there are some plays out there still popping. So we'll see. All right. So real quick, before I get out of here again, let's look at the earnings real quick. We got some earning plays tonight. Well, earnings as a whole. And that's going to be interesting because, again, we got a lot of these retail stocks coming down the pipeline. Right? People have to deal with this, if you go TJ Maxx, a Target of Urban Outfitters, Boot. Matter of fact, Boot, where I got my eyes on Boot tonight. And I hit on my Urban Outfitters puts in the earnings. That paid off. All right. And I think I got like one left. I kept one left for a break of 16 into the 15. So we'll see if that comes into fruition. But these little, retail, some of these retail plays, hey, they're going to have to barbecue a meal, dude, because it's serious in the field out there. All right. So tonight we have, like I said, Boot Barn. Like, how many of y'all shop at Boot Barn? All right, Boot Barn holder, right? They sell boots and outdoor rugged clothing for women and men, all kinds of stuff. They got earnings tonight, as you can see here on the earning Western calendar. So they got 31% beat rate potential, obviously, that they may beat or may not. 31%, anybody really betting a lot. Expedia, that's going to be one to watch tonight, right? Expedia got earnings tonight. Excuse me, now it caught a massive bid a few days ago, a day or so ago. Right, so I don't know if that's baked into the earnings at this point now. But again, how many people booking trips right now? Yeah, even though I know people are optimistic, ready to get back, but hey, we'll see. We saw what Royal Caribbean did recently. So yeah, so Huya is another one, right? Chinese stock, right? Hey, they've been getting taken to the woodshed a little bit. Baidu, I think it was what was it? Baidu the other day they had earnings, they did okay. Some of them catching bids, and the rest of the other ones are not, though. They're just getting pummeled. So, Joy, that's another Chinese company. L Brands got earnings tonight. Victoria's Secret, guys. Ain't a secret. Let's see what they're gonna do tonight. Victoria's Secret. They're just one of their, one of the many companies that's underneath the L Brands brand itself. But people are actually bullish on it going into earnings. Shoe Carnival is another one. How many people been shopping at Shoe Carnival lately? Right, going to Shoe Carnival, y'all know. Pack it on in the Shoe Carnival, right? So you got some, some stuff to look at, tonight, and we'll see how things turn out. Take Two Interact, that's gonna be one to watch. That's a video game. That's the company that makes Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Take Two. I mean, y'all know people been tearing these video games up. That's all Joker been doing, video games and chilling.
Right.
Right, straight video games and chilling. So. Again, we'll see what comes from it. So, something to look at, something to keep in mind if y'all out there getting excited about, getting after some of these trades or getting after some of these plays or whatever the case. Just be cautious, be careful, and be considerate that you're fighting a massive market, right? It's still a massive market in terms of what we're dealing with here. In essence, to whether or not it's worthy, worth trading it. So I'm still a little optimistic. There's the bell. There's the bell.
There's the bell.
All right, either barbecue or meal do. You gonna bake some biscuits or you gonna bake some biscuits, right? What you gonna do?
Stash party.
Yeah.
There it is. Yep, I'm trying to get there. Right on point. There you go.
That's what I love.
That's why I love a good team.
John Deere.
All right, let me run right on over there and get some of that. Get some of them dollars. All right, I love it. Right, let's go right on over there and get some of that money. Look, they even got a little theme song for it. Listen to that theme music.
Yeah, they had one of the people make the new song.
listen to Stan. Listen to him,
y'all. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready. With the whooping behind the increase, Camille.
Yeah.
Well, y'all ain't ready. Yeah.
little DE.
You know what? They took two young brothers that retweeted the post and they made a song for it.
Hey.
That's how I got on there.
I went in and clicked my little shares of John Deere. Y'all see there it is. And the party's on. It's Wednesday.
Yeah, I got a little deer.
All right.
It's free money. Free money.
Free money. Some of y'all got some stash accounts. Y'all have me collecting on these stash parties. Shame on y'all. That's free money. They don't cost you nothing. Just sign in. Cost you nothing but a sign in. Yeah, boy. I didn't miss it for the last few of them. I think I know I have. I did some crazy.
Yeah, I missed it yesterday. I was like, oh, I'm not missing it today.
Right. So I'm going to get some of that money. That beat hit, man. That beat hit hard. What y'all talking about, man? That thing hit, bro. Put some women behind that thing. I thought that thing was probably quaking. All right. We'll have a little fun here with that anyway. All right, Stan. Get your liquor booking. Collect that. I'm here for the bag. I'm here for the bag. Get that money. What's going on, brother? Name X. Peace, power, profit to your family.
Oh, peace, power, profit, family.
What's going on? What's going on? Happy to have you on the panel here.
Oh, thank you. What does this fast stash party mean, though? I don't get it.
It's a stash account. It's like a brokerage account.
Okay.
Well, that's basically what it is, a brokerage account. I'm sure you know that much, but they give out free stocks every day at 4:00. Shares of a stock. Free shares of a stock. So if they pick a stock like John Deere, Twilio, or Take Two, or whatever the case is, the more people sign on, the bigger the pot grows, and then they split that pot amongst everybody that signed in.
Oh, nice.
Literally free money. Sometimes that can be 60 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents, 13 cents, 4 cents, whatever. It's just free. You just keep building up. So you do it every day.
Oh, sounds good.
You look down in your portfolio in the year, you done got, $6, $7, $8, $20, $30, $40 on residual money just off the stash party.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So I'm saying
I don't think I'll be able to sign up from Canada. I'm not sure.
It's stash available in Canada.
What do you say?
It's not available in Canada over Christmas?
I'm not sure.
Think so. I don't think so.
That's probably why it is. Okay, I thought it was available for Canada, at least Canada, because it's right there. But some of these companies are when it comes to these little jurisdictions.
Yeah, even Robinhood and Webull, we don't even have it in Canada, so it's crazy.
Seriously, they don't have Webull or Robinhood for Canada?
Robinhood, Webull, you're not allowed. It's just for U.S. citizens. Yeah, I wish we have that.
Yes, even Robinhood is they're gonna start opening it up for the UK. I know. I don't know when.
For UK, right?
Yeah. Stash is not in Canada. That's crazy.
Of all places.
Nor Acorns either. I think Webull is though. I think Webull.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, right.
And we neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you can't get no closer than that. And seriously, just be honest. You can't get any closer. And for them to just just say, hey, no, we can't do it. I mean, all this jurisdictional crap. And again, y'all, I mean, because again, the TSX. I mean, y'all trade the TSX in Canada, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mostly look at Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange.
and the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, they still trade on some of the same brokerage house through the same, little. I forgot the actual terminology what it's called, but yeah, they got all these kind of stipulations, whatever. But it is what it is. So you just got to get around it some kind of way. Get to the offshore brokerage account, still get at it. Doesn't matter. But as far as those, yeah, you ain't better get through through their actual account itself. I
Yeah.
guess because of all the stipulations surrounding it, being American-born based company. But don't stop you from getting to the party. So you trading anything today, bro?
Oh yeah. I traded LK.
Also, you got that Lucky Coffee? Yeah, I ain't get a chance to even talk about Lucky Coffee. Y'all know I was in on a short a short swing. I had to convert or sell my entire position in my my taster work because I was short. I shorted it through puts into the halt, right? And I had a small amount actually in trading it, right? And they just clipped it, right? It was for a profit, but nonetheless, I was able to kind of maneuver a little bit to kind of keep a little bit on file to kind of deal with it. You had to pay the carrying cost, but they finally opened back up again today. For some of you guys did not see it, and it dropped basically from 439 where it was. I mean, all the way down to like 240, right? I'm pretty sure y'all caught it. Everybody waiting to kind of see what was going to happen, but it got dusted. I mean dusted, and I bought some intraday puts in it as well, and made out pretty good. When it spiked back up near 350. When it opened up, you know what I'm saying? Ran up like near 10 o'clock, near 350. Y'all know my little rule, right? My little basic little rule. That 950, 10 o'clock pullback.
Mm-hmm.
And just like money, I mean, look at here. Look at 950. What do you see right there, 950? That thing was up there near what? 335, right? 349. And into 950 when it reversed. Look at that reversal. Look at that reversal.
That's my whole number.
All that cheddar. All the way back down to like 265, around there 250 something. And so great reversal trade. And so I scalped me some puts and made off pretty nicely. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't over expensive either. And after that, this thing, it did like I thought it was going to do, this kind of chart and go sideways because a lot of people still bag holding from well up there above $7 a share, right? And especially when it got halted at. And so they spent the major part of the day averaging down, right? Putting good money on a bad stock. And that's typically the worst thing you can do when you have a situation like a company like this that got hit for what? Suspension for potential fraud. Well, not potential fraud, but for fraud. They got caught for fraud, cooking the books. Right?
So if they get
obvious.
delisted, everyone will lose their money or something?
Say that again?
If they get delisted, everyone will lose their money?
Well, I mean, they didn't get delisted. They just had to go through the criteria meeting the demands of Nasdaq as of yet. Now they go through more issues and figure out, that they're in trouble, and the stock obviously goes lower and lower. It could definitely get, but as of now, they met the demand of Nasdaq. That's why they got suspended the first time. They've met those demands that Nasdaq wanted of them, and that's why the stock got opened back up, right?
Oh.
So it's not obviously in threat of being delisted like right now, unless something else come up that we didn't know about, the SEC did not find, or the Nasdaq didn't find, excuse me. But again, at this point in terms of the stock value, I mean, forget about it, right? When the first of that news broke, again, the stock was up here near $40 a share. Literally, way back on what was that, like March 9th, somewhere around there, something like that. And after that, it was a wrap. It just the swamp got drained, pull back, and then this one, the gap down off that news, right? It got caught. It fell from $26 a share, right, all the way down to like $4 some change. Talking about a massive gap down. Right? So talking about writing home to mom, like, hey, look, mom, get that couch ready. I'm coming back. Right. Lost some of my money in Lucky Coffee. But so massive pullback, and after that, it just kind of what did like most stocks do when you have that kind of level of news. It downtrended, right? Downtrended from $7 all the way down to $4. That's when it got suspended in terms of trading, and it was after that it was just left for dead ever since then. And now today it finally opens back up. It spikes up off the initial news that it was reopening. Obviously, people that was bag holding had a chance to kind of get out. Shorts covered basically. A lot of shorts were covering, and that was probably stuck in terms of their old puts that they had extended, that they held through it and then sell that had extended puts more so. They took profit. So that was basically like a little pot retrace and a little short squeeze off them selling. Not so much the fact that they just shorten it to aggressive volume buying. It was just them covering their position. And typically when you have that kind of scenario that happens like that off a massive halt that's been halted for a long time, and people cover that was in that had extended puts or whatever, of course the stock gonna pop back up. Not necessarily they had a lot of aggressive happy buyers to be back. It's just that they were covering, right? And some of them took, again, at that point, new short positions. At that point, and after that it was pretty much lights out. Again, going back to the daily chart here, that's basically what you got. And so I was watching it too. I was like, yep, going to run it up, right? Going to try to pop it up so I can get me some puts or some shorts at a point where I see some resistance. So just like clockwork, $half and whole dollar marks are natural what? Support and resistance points. So right at 350, literally, they drained the swamp on it. Literally to the T. It's like they waited on it up there near 350, and they just drained it after that. So right now it's down to 283 here. In the after hour session, it hit a low. I think the daily lows were like what, like 230? No. Just give me like 260 something, or was it? What was it? 270 somewhere around there, I guess. I think it was lower than that. Hold up, I could be wrong. Let me go back. I think it went down to like 240 something. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about 260. What I'm doing. Yeah, so it went down as low as like 230, 230, 240 ish, somewhere around there. So about 40 cents where it's at right now. Now could it obviously go back down there between now and Friday? But yeah, potentially. Because what's the use case for trying to buy the stock at this point? All the news coming out about them is obviously exposure value. It necessarily still doesn't set well with even potential people that's thinking about getting a position in it, because you know what you're dealing with. You're still dealing with a toxic company, even though they fired the CEO, because they did fire the CEO. But is that enough? Right? I mean, you got over $300-something million of fraudulent money, sitting on the books. I'm sure they got to pay a fine and all that stuff too when it's all said and done. But I mean, that's a major haul of cash. Right? That ain't something you can just kind of brush off and say, that was a one-off mistake, or it was my bad. No, it's not a my bad moment. But there are y'all know how people are. People are always trying to find a way to front load what they consider to be a left for dead story, and an aspect that it may have a moment of redemption. Again, just some people out there just trade that way. Ain't nothing wrong with looking for value when you have those kind of scenario when the stocks pull back for any kind of natural reasons. But this was, again, it's fraud. But markets don't care about that. They say, hey, what's cheap? All right, where can I get in at on the bottom and ride it up? And so again, we'll see what happens with Luckin Coffee over the next, I would say, at least next couple of months. It's gonna take a couple of months for it to really materialize and see exactly what's going on there. Even with China actually being back open and people still been going to the coffee shops, or whatever the case, but brand wise, it took a hit, right? It took a hit to the brand. And they still open up a lot of Starbucks over there in Asia. So yeah, good luck. Either way, I don't know. Again, that's not my wheelhouse enough to kind of say. I've been watching Luckin Brand and studying it to a degree, but the overall coffee space, it's they're more of a tea culture, not necessarily a coffee culture anyway. They like tea more, but somebody buying it. I guess somebody buying it. That's that whole. We want to, do like the Americans do. When they drink coffee, we want to drink coffee. Like, okay, I don't know what that's about, but yeah. Yeah. But that's it. So, I mean, outside of that, guys, that's about all I really had on the tape for today. Again, I got a couple things I got to take care of here on the back end of the afternoon here, before I get a chance to, get freed up. Obviously going into the weekend. So, I hope everybody got some out of today's bill. I know it was kind of short, put together and thrown together, mashed together. I do hope it was beneficial though, nonetheless. I appreciate my Ilva Camille, my Over Chris coming on, man. You guys are powerful and awesome as always. Man, I love it.
Thank you, Oba.
Yeah, man. I wish I had a little bit more extra time to kind of go over some other stuff, because I mean so much stuff that we hadn't talked about since last time. But I want to kind of bring up some more, news on the coronavirus and all kind. But we'll do it again tomorrow, probably tomorrow. I'll see if I can dedicate a little bit more longer time. If y'all free, obviously, y'all know how this stuff. But y'all welcome to come on anytime. Kind of updates, see where everything is in terms of everybody's states, any kind of things that we could talk about that could be helpful to other people who going back to work or just having to deal with things going on in their neighborhood. Many their environments, terms of people opening back up, and how careless people are or how protected they are. As a matter of fact, before I get off here, did y'all see what happened down in Atlanta the other day over the weekend? Did y'all see that clip out of Atlanta?
No,
Man, somebody tell me that y'all saw that clip out of Atlanta. See, this is why, man, Atlanta, y'all fired. Where my Georgia folks at? Right? Anybody from Georgia that's in the back chat? Anybody from Georgia that's listening in from the back chat? Because y'all already know. If you from Georgia, what's going on over T? I just saw you in the house. Good to see you, family. Peace, power, and profit. Right? Where my Atlanta folks at, man? Or at least my Georgia folks at? Man, I'm like, bro, like, and to keep in mind, this was over the weekend. Now, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here, man. I tell you, man, man, look, bro, Atlanta. I don't know what we're gonna do with Atlanta, right? I know one thing for certain. Yeah, Atlanta is a test tube. It's an experiment. It has to be an experiment. I mean, we talking about the Metro of the South, and bruh. Let me pull this up real quick, man. Hot Atlanta, man. What's up, Atlanta? I'm waiting to see if there's anybody in the back chat from Atlanta, because anybody from Atlanta? All right, nobody saying they from Atlanta, so I guess everybody's like, no, we ain't from Atlanta. Or we don't want to. Whatever you probably from the show, it may not be the best, I guess. So now again, Georgia was one of those states that opened up early. All right, Governor George Kemp, whatever his name is, Brian Kemp, whatever his name is, excuse me, Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, right? Super uber conservative, right? Big Trump supporter, big Trump fan. Pretty much saying, I'm gonna take one for the team. So we got a heavy populist black community in this, city of Atlanta. And what better place to open up at to see exactly how bad the coronavirus is gonna be a contingent problem for the rest of the nation is that we just test drive it on some of these black folk. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm sticking to it. And I'm saying that because it's a heavy black population in the city of Atlanta. Again, y'all, it ain't nothing new. We know that, right? We know that. And Atlanta obviously has a different type of quote unquote swagger about itself, right? And things of that nature. So, I would think, at least some of the black folk there would be a little bit more cautious and skittish like we typically are in most cases. But them joker was out there just, still acting like, this ain't nothing happening. Not gonna say everybody in Atlanta. Because I saw some clips of people in Atlanta, that were still out enjoying themselves, but they were, they got masks on. They was at nightclub with masks on and all that kind of stuff. Hey, good, whatever works for you. You gotta do what you gotta do. All right. But we also know there's another side of Atlanta, or a sector of society in Atlanta, that's a little bit, a little bit on the kind of wild side, right? Whether you call it wild, you don't, but right, y'all know Atlanta is really heavy on the, on the LGBTQ RSPTSY side of the house, right? Again, it's the new San Francisco. It's been dubbed that. Not my words. That's what they call themselves. They call themselves that. They're the new San Francisco, right? And it's a heavily black, demographic in Atlanta. Within a lot of, the fam, on that LGBTQ side of the house, right? And they're always going to be the ones who get publicized the most because they make up somewhat supposedly the greater populace in that particular city. So again, and then I'm just going by the stats. So again, there's so many other things going on with Atlanta before we even talk about it. But I mean, HIV, they're bad. It's spiking up. I don't know, man. Atlanta, it's Atlanta. Hey, what can you say? It's Motel of the South. That's what they call it, right? The Motel of the South. Well, then maybe it is a motel. Maybe it is a motel, if nothing else. I mean, I used to live there. I used to live there. I know where I got family still there. A lot of friends, a lot of business. I mean, come on, it's still second. It's a part of, whatever. But this part of the game is like, man, what part of the game is this? Where jokers met up. They met up at the most premier park in Atlanta, right? Some of y'all guys already know. Them jokers met up at Piedmont Park. Right? Anybody familiar with Atlanta? Y'all know Piedmont Park. It's kind of like the Central Park of New York, right? It's like the Central Park of New York. In essence, to how it is in Atlanta, right? Everybody goes to Piedmont. Everybody goes to Piedmont, right? They do a lot of concerts, summer jam there. T.I., all the guys, Outkast. Everybody go to Piedmont, do that kind of stuff. All right, long story short, let me get on with this. I gotta go. All right, so some people met up at the park. They met up at the Piedmont Park to hang out, right? With no mask on, all that, right? Nah, them jokers came to Piedmont Park to fight. Some gay guys showed up like Michael Jackson, I'm Bad. Y'all remember that old Michael Jackson, I'm Bad video?
Yeah.
Right? Them jokers showed up at the park with no mask on, no nothing, in the middle of a pandemic just to fight. Some gay guy. Everybody out there was gay. It wasn't like straight guys and gay guys. They were all gay. It's like all of them was on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, saying, we're going to meet up at the Piedmont Park today. We're going to settle this. We're going to settle this, Twan. Right? We're going to settle this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that kind of, man, if y'all don't look at this here. Now, man, look, bro, I'm just saying, come on, seriously. I'm saying because, man, I'm like, man, it's my people, man. Man, look at my, man, look, man. Look, we gonna need y'all to get right, right? And I know some real thorough brothers down in Atlanta, right? Again, I used to, I went to school down at Georgia Southern University, right down the street near Savannah, Statesboro. So, I mean, I'm man, look. We used to host players ball, man. We used to host players ball. Freaknik. Now I don't know what Atlanta is. It really is a Freaknik. I guess on the other side, but back then it wasn't this kind of stuff. It was, Cadillac those and Chevys and, alpha stuff, alpha male kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it changed overnight. Literally, I'm not making this up. Again, no disrespect to anybody on the, that's on the LGBTQ side of the house. But this right here is just crazy. This kind of stuff they criticize, again, straight alpha males for, right? And gang members for. Then let me just roll that beautiful bean for. Let me just stop talking and roll that beautiful bean. It's not even beautiful bean for. Let me rephrase that. Let me just roll that footage. let me just roll the footage here. Let me open up here so y'all can. Man, look.
If y'all from Atlanta, y'all need to deal with this. Y'all gonna have to answer to this. Hey, nobody got a mask on either. Look how they looking like these other females. Y'all don't really know who that is. Let's do it. Oh my God! Look I'm done. Meet up in Atlanta at the Piedmont Park just to have a LGBTQ battle royal. Just to have a 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 battle ro Bruh, is y'all seeing this?
Man,
This
that's
was met up
crazy.
at the park to have a LBGTQ battle royal. Bruh, ain't nobody got a mask on too. As if the coronavirus just suddenly just went away until we finish with hooking. We're gonna hook first, and we're gonna don't worry about catching the virus later, right? Catch that Rona later. Like where they do this at? Slap 100% right, brother T. There, slap claw fighting style. I don't even know if that do Japanese style. That's slap claw, right? That's slap claw.
Yeah.
Open hand. You hit me too hard, Rona. Someone probably even got nicknames like Rona too, right? I can even imagine. Bro, Atlanta took a major L on this one. Major L.
I think Eoba Camille said she in the back.
Oh, okay. My bad. I had to go on the other side. I couldn't see it. I don't see her. She might have tried to come in.
Maybe that
she'll
was
pop back up.
earlier. Maybe that was earlier. I don't know.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, Eva Camille here. But y'all, man, come on, Atlanta, guys, come on, man. The A took a major L today. The A took a major L. T.I., where you at? Killer Mike, Big Bro, all them guys. Where y'all see? Y'all done let all them new. Again, I ain't going in on the mumble rappers, but y'all let all these questionable rappers come in, and they're over there just then brought in this kind of culture,
right?
And they done took over the A. This is not the Atlanta I'm familiar with. The Atlanta I lived in when I was living there, or even before I lived there when I was at school down at Georgia Southern. I used to freak it a lot. This is the A I used to freak it. Nah.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is here. The A I know about is the good amount type A, right? That type of A. And again, that 285, that 85, that coming through the pipeline from 75 to 85, and look, east side or west side, bro. Hey, y'all know this from Boulder Crest back on, man. Look, this is not the A I know.
Yeah, more like that.
Right, you see what I'm saying, man, bro. Yeah, and they out there. No mask on. I guess if you're hooking, you got time to put a mask on. I guess get shortness of breath. Maybe. You better hook it together. Your mask come on. You better time out, bro. Put the mask back on. Put the mask. It's just like, okay, I wait on you.
Yeah.
Bro, how you deal with this? How y'all square this in y'all head, man? Look at Eva Camille, Monica. You see it, Sister Mo? This happened over the weekend. Y'all know Tariq is a mess too. Somebody brought to my attention. I like this is crazy. So you already know he gonna really make fun of you. See what he's saying? This was I don't know what this is. I guess that's supposed to be the other word for that battle at Piedmont Park in Atlanta this week. My question is, why don't you people take this same smoke down to Brunswick? Now you got a point there. They got all the energy out there fighting with no mask on. Ain't nobody went down to Brunswick to deal with that, that public day lynching down there. Right. I know one of our brothers did though. Grandmaster Jay. Hey, man, I'm friends with Grandmaster over there on Instagram. Y'all know he got a crew. But I ain't look at go pull up his page. I just leave that. They bought that life. And y'all probably saw the clips come out there. Remember they put on the news about the little crew that was down there that had that cordoned off a neighborhood, and the brother had an AR-15. The assault rifle. I ain't gonna say AR-15, but they had the assault rifles out. Well, guess who that was? Grandmaster them crew. That was their crew. That was them. So they went about that, about them games. They went down there like it's supposed to be because we tired of this foolishness. I'm pretty sure everybody's been watching it. It's a travesty. No, it's not even a travesty. You know what? It's this country. It's what this country's always been. At some point, we just got to start making excuses. But it is, again, that's another conversation for another day. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I have time, but there's not enough time to really talk about, really unpack that situation as a whole. And more stuff is coming out as we're hearing every day, right? Turned out again, they just hunted the brand. They hunted the brother down. They put it in layman terms. If you still late on, if don't know what's going on, they hunted him down.
Yep, they
hunted him down. Turned out that he was running. He just didn't meet them on that road when they met him. Let me just put it that way.
Right.
He was running to get away from them from blocks and blocks away. It ended up in those areas, cutting through cuts and ducking through. That's how he got over there. So and all that he was over there scoping out stuff and stealing all it. The man ain't stealing that. It's out now. He was trying to get away from them soldiers. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if y'all haven't been following the story, whether you care to, you don't, man. Again, it's more the same stuff that happens in this country more than often, and it continues to kind of get downplayed because again, the media is more concerned with again the bait and switch tactics of keeping you focus on debate, sleight of hand, right? Sleight of hands kind of thing, prestidigitation. Like you worry about this over here happening to take your attention away from it. And then again, like Tariq said, you got people like this out there in the park on the weekend in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody got masks on or nothing, and they out there fighting. They all Instagram each other and say meet up at the park day like some Michael Jackson, I'm bad kind of stuff.
Right.
There ain't no straight people out there. Y'all see who was out there in that crowd. Like, how do you organize a LGBTQ fight? Bruh.
That's crazy.
How you organize that? You sign a petition at Messiah. I'm gonna be there. My little Leroy Larry. I'm gonna be there, right? I'm gonna be there. So I'm gonna sign my name too.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Couldn't make this stuff up.
What is the world coming to, man?
Yeah.
So
we got a lot to deal with, but for the most part, again, I'm not into publicizing this kind of stuff anyway. But when I saw this here, I was like, man, seriously, of all the stuff that we're dealing with, these jokers got this kind of time and this kind of bravery. Number one, besides the